Kincade and Salciunas is on the air.
Today's talk show for your morning drive.
It was a performance for the Eagles offense yesterday, but when you see that kind of defense, they are holding top offenses in the NFL to just 9 points.
They were all over the freaking place. Other people have to worry about someone other than Jalen Carter. I can't get over the way this Eagles defense is playing.
Broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, here are your hosts, John Kincade and Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5 The Fanatic.
Which is
and
great.
the people that have told us that, we believe.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
we believe they are more connected than us, and they seem to have really good information.
So the reason why I bring that up is, look, it is there, though, right? Like, there is drama. And I want to give somebody a ton of freaking credit that I think is not getting any credit for it at all. And it's how Jalen Hurts is handling it. And the reason why I say that, I love McNabb. I know you do, too.
I'm a huge was my favorite Eagle, pretty much. Now that's changing as a new era has come.
How would Donovan McNabb be handling what's going on right now in the locker room?
Terrible.
Right.
Terrible.
Number 5 will always love you.
No, terribly. I should say terribly would be proper. Yeah, he'd be handling it terribly because he would look upon himself as being victimized.
Exactly.
And it would become dark cloud, woe is me, why me? Because the one thing, and I love McNabb. Like
I do too. Number 5 will always love you.
But to me, McNabb was always the victim.
And you know that
he was always the victim.
Look, we actually have documented a wide receiver being upset with the quarterback, and it kind of blowing up to the point where the wide receiver is doing sit-ups in his driveway. It blew up pretty big, right?
Correct.
Jalen Hurts, I do not believe, is getting enough credit for how he is handling himself during all of this. So yesterday he had his midweek media availability, and I don't know how much I believe in terms of him not knowing any of the reports. I think he's somebody that probably knows things. But
that's a lie. Knowing the Eagles PR staff and knowing how the job that they do, that is a bunch of garbage.
Right.
He knows exactly what he might have thrown on.
Yeah, he said yesterday.
Now, that doesn't mean he's obsessing on it.
Right.
Or
right.
I do believe from his Alabama days, he avoids it.
Sure, as much as he can.
But he still hears it.
And as much as the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles can, right? Like, he's not the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. He's the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's not just here locally, it's nationally. He's talked about every single day on ESPN or whatever network that you pay attention to nationally. And he just continues to keep on moving forward. So yesterday, he was asked if he heard about the report. So the report over the weekend, it started with Diana Rossini talking about that there are people inside NovaCare that have been frustrated with the way the quarterback has been playing, right? And then Derek Gunn had his reports. And then we had Jeff McClain on earlier this week that kind of said it's there, but it's not as dramatic as what some people may be making it out to be. So here was Jalen Hurts yesterday being asked about the report, and then there's a follow-up question about whether or not this sort of drama just comes with the territory of being a quarterback in the NFL.
There was a report over the weekend that there's some frustration building in the locker room with your approach. How do you kind of digest that, and what's sort of your reaction to it?
Just go to work every day. Go to work every day and continue to go out there and try and do my best.
Being in the position you are as a starting quarterback in this league, does that kind of come with the territory? And how do you learn to deal with it?
I think it definitely does. And, I take a lot of the responsibility when things are going. I guess I get a lot of attention when things are going well and when things are not going so well. And so I never run away from holding myself accountable. And I think that's exactly what I've taken the approach of doing. When I look at this last game, I take great pride in what we do on offense. I take great pride in how we go out there and play as a team and what our flow is. And so we obviously got work to do, and I think that obviously starts with me. That's always my approach. That's always me looking internally first in everything that we do, and then in due time rising above.
I love the answer.
I loved it too, even though a lot of it is, packaged.
No, I know.
It's not. It's not. It's not like he's not being blunt. How he would really speak if the microphones were off and everything.
Sure,
but I admire that so damn much.
Because here's the deal: if he did just speak it the way, if the microphones were off,
then it would be. Then it adds
number
to the
one
fire.
headline. And is Jalen Hurts upset with the Philadelphia Eagles?
I love the fact that Jalen Hurts says he talks the talk and walks the walk. He's about the team. Like now, the whole A.J. Brown thing has changed. A.J. Brown's initial gripes were on his stats, his touches, being ignored as a player, not getting listened to, not getting what he wanted. And then it became, well, I'm all about winning. It's all about winning. When all of his messaging was singular about himself, I, me, well, look at me. Jalen Hurts is exactly the opposite. And by the way, he's been that way since the first time I interviewed him in college at SEC Media Day.
Right. Now, look,
He's incredible. He's different.
he has had his share of bad leadership.
No, we
in
talked
the
about
past, right?
We
Like,
talked about it. And he got called out about it.
He did by his teammates. So
Correct.
the fact that has happened in the past, that's in the past. He has learned from it. He has grown from it. And this week, he has had every opportunity, not that he would want to, but he has had every opportunity from a human element to add fuel to the fire. But he is doing whatever he can to just put it to bed or to say, yeah, sure, I do have share of the blame. I am the quarterback of the freaking Philadelphia Eagles that have scored 26 total points over the last 2 weeks and is one of the worst ranked offenses in the NFL, or at least a bottom half offense in the NFL, and we are the defending Super Bowl champions. I will take that ownership. But his leadership qualities is something that I don't think is being talked about enough, especially during these last 2 weeks where there have been more and more just crap that's being thrown around about Jalen Hurts.
Look, we couldn't be. This is weird because I guarantee you that Connor's going to pretty much agree with this, correct?
Yeah, I got no issue with what you're saying.
We rarely look at things all through the same prism where we just see it all. We're hearing it the same way. We're seeing it the same way. I wonder if the listeners feel that.
Well, and I'm curious.
And that's the question, because I think a lot of people are going to look at it differently. They're going to look at it as that's just Jalen Hurts BS.
Well, then let's hear from the people. 610-632-0975. You know that number. You can call in or you can text in. We also got the text line. When you hear Jalen Hurts say what he just had to say about the territory of being the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles and all the reports and him just trying to keep on moving forward, do you buy it? And how does that make you feel? Like, to me, I feel great this morning. I felt great last night when I heard the clip. But I also want to have a secondary topic off of this. Because, look, we see you every single day on our YouTube or on Twitter. Hey, isn't there anything else to talk about? Well, some days there aren't. Some days the drama is what is the number one story that anybody in the world would talk about. If there is a storyline that you believe is not being talked about enough, what is it? Because this team is 8-2. This team is the number one seed in the NFC. This team will be playing a high-powered offense in the Dallas Cowboys coming up Sunday, but you feel great about the defense that has shut down the Lions and the Packers. What storylines do you believe are not being talked about enough, if at all? You can answer that as well at 610-632-0975. Now, coming up next, hear more from Jalen Hurts. because he gave one of my favorite answers he's ever given because it was real. It has some of Hurts being Hurts.
It is.
But it shows how he tries to deal with the noise that is currently surrounding NovaCare. It is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. I totally get AJ being frustrated. Everybody else being frustrated is total crap. They are 26-5 since August 2024. There is only one conclusion. There are certain people in the organization where winning isn't enough.
Okay, wait a minute, though. So go back to what he said first.
The A.J. Brown part, saying I totally get A.J. being frustrated. Everybody else being frustrated is total crap.
Okay, when he says that, why is everybody frustrated because they're winning, right? That's his point.
Yes.
So why the hell does A.J. Brown get this absolute me? Because A.J. Brown's trying to spin the narrative. Every one of his complaints was about me when it started. Then he starts putting out all I want to do is win. It's all about. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's not about that's not because if it was about winning and just winning, that's what you would care about.
Right, and we wouldn't have as much drama that we've dealt with.
It's all about
this year.
Get me because he told you after the Super Bowl that he was not happy because he wasn't a big enough part of it. It's about him. It's all about him. Now, by the way, he's a great player. I love rooting for him. Love watching him, but he makes it tougher for me to root for him. I got to be honest with you. He makes it tougher by the just. Why does someone from within want to derail what's going on?
Especially when they're 8-2 this year, and as everybody's been pointing out, 26-5 in the last 31
and
games.
Don't spin to me that he wants the team to be better. No, bull crap. Go back and watch this whole incident from the beginning. Read the tweets. Read the Instagram posts. It was about me, and then it became, well, all I want to do is have the team win. Then that spin started. No, it was about you. And now hopefully we can put it to bed at some point.
So I want to play another clip from Jalen Hurts because with all of this noise, because there is a lot of it, and a lot of you like to blame us because we're the ones that are talking about it, or there are beats that are asking questions about it. But let's face it, we have to understand sometimes that these reports that are coming out, all right, I am just, maybe I'm a good person, John.
No, you are a good person. You're not as good as Connor.
I don't think
but you're a good person.
I don't think some of the reporters that have been here for a very, very, very long time are making things up.
They're not.
Okay.
And that line of defense is so weak, it's ridiculous.
So it's coming from someone. Now again, it could be one person, it could be 10 people, it could be a third string player. It's coming from somewhere. Somebody is leaking out information that there are people upset with Jalen Hurts and the way he's going about his business. I believe it was Seth was saying something to the extent of, in practice, he's throwing the ball certain spots, but then in the game, maybe he panics and doesn't throw the ball.
Okay.
So players are just getting frustrated. It's not Jalen Hurts stinks. It's not run him out of town. It's
absolutely.
And maybe sometimes leaks like this could be a way to try to get to the player a different way if other ways have not worked. I don't know. I'm not inside NovaCare.
Absolutely.
Regardless, I bring up Donovan McNabb. If this stuff was happening, which it did, when 5 was the quarterback, he would not be handling himself well.
No, he'd be really upset by it.
Jalen Hurts is handling himself as professional as possible, even if he's lying to us at the podium.
And I think he is.
He might be.
Now, the weird thing is that when I said that before, because the gentleman says to me, he goes, come on, John, he's not lying. I said, look, it's not a lie if you don't tell everybody, if you don't lay out all your grievances and all the facts to people when you're asked a question.
Right.
It's holding stuff back, or it's presenting things properly. There are things in our industry that we would love to be able to say, that we would love to just vent about, and we don't.
Absolutely.
Because it's called professionalism.
Right.
And I think that to me, AJ's not, Jalen is. And that, to me, is the big difference.
Well, here was Jalen Hurts yesterday. He was asked if he's surprised about everything that's just been going down, things that have been said about him, things that are said about the Eagles' offense, and this was his response.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by anything. I mean, this is kind of the nature of the position, like I said, but, I put my energy and I put my focus on trying to go out there and do my best and trying to learn, trying to build, trying to take in the things that I can to improve. And so, I've said this before about winning and success and all those things. Like, that doesn't do you anything in the present. It's only an experience that you can lean on as you go forward. And so, you lean on all those successes. You lean on all the trials. You lean on all the different things that you've experienced. You use them. Ultimately, it's about how you navigate what's in front of you and how you respond to these things. And so I think the response is more important than anything. It's about pushing forward, about finding ways to grow. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be something. There's always unknown. There's always another dynamic to a situation. Ultimately, it's about growth. I mean, that's why we play the game. That's why I play the game. That's why I play the position. I play the position to learn. I play the game because I love what it teaches you. And there's beauty in all of these lessons. And I think, all of the lessons that it's taught us in the past has brought us great success. And so I think lessons to be learned right now and where we are, we only go forward.
He's not getting enough credit.
I think he's doing a fantastic job there.
Yeah.
I loved when he will say, he said something before, and I actually wrote it down a couple weeks ago, because I think it's just great. You either win or you learn.
Yeah.
He said after one of the losses, it was the Giants loss. He said you either win or you learn. And to me, I think you win. I think you learn in winning also.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he, I think simplistically there just says, look, when we lose, get introspective. Why you losing, what's not working, what needs to be fixed, and get after it. I admire the hell out of Jalen Hurts because he has taken nothing but bullets and aspersions thrown his way. And I really wish one day he would just go, you know what, I'm tired of this crap.
Now, look, this
it would
does
be
not
disruptive.
excuse his play, which has not been great this year.
No. Whoa. He is still playing. If you look at it, and they did a nice thing on NFL Live about it, he's still playing a very high level of quarterback. If you want, the fact is, look at wins and losses. Look how he protects the ball.
Yeah.
Look how he run. I mean, there's a lot of things he does well, but he hasn't played.
Have you
to his
watched Jalen
capability.
Hurts
No.
this year saying,
And I have
damn,
not-
he's having a hell of a season?
No, you know what? I've watched a couple games where I've said, man, that looks like Jalen.
Right.
Remember the first half we were in Tampa, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that looks more like Jalen. And then
when
it went away.
And when you can remember specific moments, that means there's not as many.
Correct. That's the truth.
All right, coming up next, what does the head coach make of the reports that have been coming out about Jalen Hurts? He was asked about that yesterday. You'll hear that next, and we'll check our text line at 610-632-0975. Does Jalen Hurts get enough credit for how he handles himself during situations like this? Because let's face it, it's back-to-back years, actually 3 years in a row, where there's been drama surrounding him, whether it's his fault or not. Do you believe he's getting enough credit for it? Also, what other storylines are not being talked about enough? It is Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Some injury issues on the O-line. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles had some issues pop up on their first injury report of the week. Cam Jurgens was out of practice yesterday, currently dealing with a concussion, and Lane Johnson is expected to be out this week with a Liz Frank injury. We'll keep you updated on that. Jalen Phillips, who's had a stellar start to his Eagles career, was also limited with a shoulder injury. So there's a lot to keep an eye on there. Nick Sirianni met with media yesterday and talked about the faith the team has in Fred Johnson, who would be stepping in for Lane if he's out.
I have a lot of faith in the guys, with Fred, through the length of the seasons that we've had the past 4 years, we need all hands on deck. So we've had a lot of guys play, so a lot of experience doing that, not just with Lane, but with every position.
It'll be a big divisional matchup on Sunday for the Eagles against the Dallas Cowboys down in Dallas, but they will bring Jordan Davis, who just won NFC Defensive Player of the Week for his efforts against the Lions. Sixers lost to the Raptors 121-112 last night. Again, a rough third quarter for the Sixers that did them in this one. They're on the road in Milwaukee tonight on the back end of their back-to-back. Tip-off at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers host the Blues at 7 p.m. That game on WMMR. We're going to talk to Scott Lawver coming up at 7:40. Andrew DeCecco from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. This update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose one that's built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Jalen Hurts getting enough credit for how he handles all of the drama that seems to surround him and the Philadelphia Eagles offense. You can text in, call in at 610-632-0975. I believe it's a storyline that's not being talked about enough, which also leads us to our second question for you of what other storylines when it comes to the Eagles are not being talked about enough. Is there one that comes to your mind, John and Connor, in terms of a talking point? Because, look, we do the second opinion segment for a reason. There's always the biggest story the day after the game, and we talk about that for 4 hours. And then the next day, it's like, all right, what didn't we get into? We have highlighted punters. We've highlighted field goal kicking. We've highlighted gunners. We've highlighted rookie safeties. Like, we use the second opinion segment to talk about some of the things we didn't get into the day after the game. So what's something that you believe has not been talked about enough? And it doesn't have to just be, well, that's not going to sell a show, right? We need to talk about the drama.
Zach Bond following up last year where he steps in here as a no-name and gets paid and things go well. Following it up with another great season.
He's been spectacular.
So to me, I expected a bit of a drop-off.
Yeah, me too. I think we all did.
Because with some of the guys they lost up front and everything like that, I was like, okay.
And we were being fair about it, not like A, he's going to stink, or B, he better be just as good. We were just like, all right, it might take a little bit of a step back. Teams may have some film on him, but no, he's been tremendous. Connor, what about you?
Is Saquon Barkley just going to get a pass for the year?
Well,
because it kind of feels like Saquon Barkley's getting a pass for the year. And I'm not mad at that. It just feels like where we're at. Like we've just stopped talking about the all-pro best player in football running back that took over the league last year that's done essentially none of that this year.
Yeah, but what everybody will tell you that covers the team is that the holes aren't there. You saw that play, was it 2 weeks ago against the Packers, where it was the one-on-one. He had that ridiculously great spin move. Like, he still has his ability to make people miss.
Yes.
But when he's getting hit 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, may bounce off that guy, then gets to the line of scrimmage and gets hit there, and then finally he gets 2 or 3 yards. Like, that's why.
I understand that. But let's say the play calling is not up to snuff.
It could be.
The route tree is not there. Then do we just say, well, Jalen, you're fine if you're not making these throws? No, Jalen catches crap for that.
And he does.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, everyone go after Saquon. It just feels like we haven't really talked about a major drop-off of your most important player from last year.
Look, here there have been some things that we've talked about this season, like when Tank Bigsby goes in there and picks up 6 yards, or when A.J. Dillon goes out there, well, when he was still dressing and would go out there and get 4 or 5 yards. I think it's also how the defenses play him, right? They don't see Saquon back there, so they're not like, all right, that's the guy we need to stop. They see A.J. Dillon and now Tank Bigsby, or whenever Will Shipley's out there, it's kind of like, all right, let's respect that they might run the football here, but we have to be more worried about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert in this situation, which is why you see these guys picking up a little bit extra yards on the ground. But that's for 4 or 5 touches. Right?
I'm floored at how like Tank Bigsby coming in. I'm absolutely floored what he's been able to do.
Yeah, he's been fantastic.
He's been great. Look, there's so many good stories that are getting sort of brushed to the side.
And look, it's the Eagles doing. The Eagles are the ones creating this.
Exactly.
Or maybe it's one person that's creating this. And so I want to read a quote for you guys, and then you'll hear from Nick Sirianni. Sirianni was obviously asked about it again, this time specifically about Jalen Hurts. Deshaun Jackson has his podcast, the House of Action.
Okay.
And
I did not know this existed.
He's had a couple because he did the one with Shady.
Yeah.
So it's the House of Action podcast, and he talked about A.J. Brown. Quote, "It's something else going on. I got a great relationship with A.J. I respect him. I can't say it, but I know it's something else going on. It's not all about football. It's not all about X's and O's. I've had situationships with quarterbacks I didn't necessarily like. And when it ain't there, it sticks out like a sore thumb. That's all I'm going to say." So Deshaun Jackson telling you that he is friends with A.J. Brown, telling you that there's something between the two of them, which, again, started last year when Brandon Graham told the entire world on his radio show that there's something going on between those two players. Now, can these things get worked out on the field? Absolutely, right? And, again, the moment against the Minnesota Vikings where they check into that play. The moment against the Green Bay Packers, and even though it didn't go well, they check into the play. So the working relationship, I would imagine, is still there. But there is something that is going on, and if you're tired of us talking about it, well, how about Deshaun Jackson, who we all love, right? Like, Deshaun Jackson is a favorite Eagle for a lot of people. He's going out there on his podcast saying, yeah, there's something there, and it's not just about X's and O's.
And because I guess I don't know what that does for you, him sharing that, or why that's the big deal. But again, that's private. There's a lot of people that we know have beef that you don't feel the need to go out there and tell the world about it. It's interesting. I always look at that as, can I give myself clout? And I think that, can I tell you that I'm connected? I've got something going on. I think I don't admire it about Deshaun.
You wish he just kept that to himself.
Yeah, I don't admire it about Deshaun. I think Deshaun's another one of those. Look at me. Can I tell you what I know? Can I tell you? Look, can I insert myself into a story?
I don't know. He may have been asked about it. I don't know.
It's his podcast.
Sure.
It's his podcast. He doesn't have to answer anything. It's his podcast. Yeah. He can do whatever he wants, but he knows that's going to get at eyeballs and clicks and ears.
We talked about it.
There it is.
Here was Nick Sirianni yesterday when he was asked about a lot of the reports that have been coming out about Jalen Hurts now recently.
Again, when there's not a name on it, I don't put a lot of credence into that. And, obviously it's not good for me to read anything. I got to prepare to do my job, right? And if I'm thinking about other things, and so now when Bob preps me for it, I don't necessarily believe everything that's been being written. I just don't. I've been around long enough to know that. So I don't give it a lot of credence when there's not a name. And again, just don't fall into the trap of believing everything you see or read.
Now, it's a great way to try to squash it. It is.
Do you believe him?
No.
Exactly.
But
I don't either.
When he says it, there's not a follow-up question. There's not nobody can. You can't do a 4-hour show off of that.
No.
Right?
No.
And so that is the best way for Nick Sirianni to have been able to handle that question, because if there is somebody that goes, oh man, we're going to get 4 hours out of this. No, you can't. Or
no, you can't, because
NFL Live is going to, it's the top story. No, you can't.
And because of the fact that it's not Nick Sirianni's job to make things worse. It's not any player's job in that locker room to make things worse. Only one player in the locker room has been consistently trying to make things worse. For whatever the agenda is.
Sure.
I don't know what it is, but the agenda has been that. Make things worse.
All right, so what do we got on the text line? Can you hit me with one? Because, I want to hear from the people.
All right. We've got people checking in on this conversation of what we're not talking about. And this person, Scott from Florida, says something that I wish was being talked about more is in the midst of the A.J. Brown drama, Devontae Smith has proven that he is without a doubt just as much of a wide receiver one as A.J. is. His style of play may be different, but he's been the most consistent thing about this offense so far.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
That's a great one.
We talked about it earlier in the year. And I know we did a whole thing on post-show headlines. You can look Kincade Salciunas post-show headlines on YouTube. We do it every single day after the show. We started talking about Devontae Smith potentially trending toward that number one guy. And it's not like Jalen likes him more. It's maybe he's getting more separation.
Well, he is. No. It's not maybe he's getting more separation.
Yeah.
He's getting more separation consistently every single week.
Yeah, and part of that is age. He's younger. His body might be more for that. Oh, by the way, he's quicker. Like A.J. Brown's a physical wide receiver. Right. And maybe Hurts trusts that more because there's more space. And Devontae Smith might be becoming the number one wide receiver on this football team.
If you're throwing the football and your team is your head coach has the edict of let's win the turnover battle every week.
Where are you going to go?
And they're 40-2, I believe, when they win it under Sirianni. If the guy's not getting separate, and he isn't, you can watch it and see it. And AJ can't excuse that away.
No, you can't. All right, coming up next, we'll check more of our text messages on this. It's a positive thing. How about that? Is Jalen Hurts getting enough credit for how he handles himself during all this? I don't think that he is. And what other storylines aren't being talked about enough this season for the Eagles? 610-632-0975. We now know why Cam Jurgens exited the game on Sunday against the Lions. He did not practice yesterday. We'll talk about that next.
And is it good news?
It is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. All right, what's up, guys? 8:41 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Before we get back to our Eagles discussion, it was finally announced yesterday. It was reported a while back, but it is official that the Philadelphia Phillies will be playing the Minnesota Twins at the MLB Field of Dreams game in August of 2026, which I think is so cool that our team gets to be a part of it. It is something that I already told Christy I will do whatever it takes to attend.
So you really do want to go?
Oh, yeah, I would love to.
Get in line.
It's going to cost way too much money for me to really sell that.
It's going to be a fortune. Like it's a
shame.
fortune. It's one of the. How about this? It's been the I saw 2 of the last 4 years. It's been the highest regular season ticket in baseball. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. But it's like I still remember the first time they did it. Tim Anderson, before he got knocked out and was never the same player afterward. By Jose Ramirez. Remember that? Tim Anderson hit the game-winning walk-off home run.
I do
you
not
don't remember this?
that.
What? Oh, dude.
No, I don't remember that.
He hits the walk-off home run against the Yankees.
Okay.
And as he's rounding third, they had the fireworks going off in the cornfields.
And it was like...
It was one of the most beautiful...
I remember that. I couldn't have told you who hit the home run. I couldn't have told you any of that.
I was locked into that game.
You were.
Course.
Well, I mean, it was great.
Why wouldn't I be locked into Yankees-White Sox?
Judge had gone yard right before that.
Yes.
They thought it was a game winner in the top.
But it was like the coolest thing, his teammates are surrounding home plate. There's fireworks going off. Somebody did the slow-mo version, and they played "Oh Beautiful," America the Beautiful. I love that. That stuff gets to me. But no, it's really cool. Phillies Twins, August 13th, 2026, the Field of Dream game in Iowa.
Well, I wonder. I don't know. I wouldn't guess that our gang from Philly Sports Trips would have something going on for it because the tickets are like Iowa people get the tickets.
Yes, and then they sell it.
That's the thing is that so you can't go and say I want to grab the tickets.
No, you have to be a resident of
Iowa,
and then you sell it.
And I don't believe you're going to get a large grouping being able to be bought.
Yeah, I bet you my mom up and moves to Iowa just to become a resident to get tickets to this game. Being a Twins fan, her and my brother.
Oh yeah,
as well.
that's right. That's right. Yeah,
well,
no,
it's going to be.
It's cool.
It's got to be the. It is. It's one of the 2 of the last 4 years highest priced regular season ticket. So if you're asking Santa.
Yeah,
you better not be asking for much else.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Santa's going to be a little strapped.
Hey, honey, I want to go to Iowa, and it's only going to cost like a couple grand.
Yeah, sure.
For a baseball game.
They'll be all into
We could do a cornfield tour, though.
I'm fine with that.
Yesterday,
and everything.
It came out that Cam Jurgens exited the game Sunday against the Lions with a concussion. So he exits the game not with, a knee injury or a back injury.
Which had not been confirmed, by the way.
Right, because I don't know how that protocol works. It was never announced. I know you're in the press box, right?
They never announced it to us. They never, so.
And it was never announced on the broadcast. It was just that he wasn't coming back.
They didn't have to confirm it.
Right.
And it just goes to show you it speaks to our earlier conversation. The Eagles have a great locker room now of guys who don't feel the need to share all the information and let people in on crap that they don't have to share.
Yeah.
And to me, that's very admirable. Even as a member of the media, I think that's admirable.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't have to share it, why are you sharing it?
Now, we don't know where he's at in the protocol. He could potentially play on Sunday.
Sure he could.
Obviously, get your head right. Right, like that's
we hope you're
first and foremost, right? With everything that we know about concussions. So
we say that to Connor every day, and he doesn't even have a concussion.
I've been permanently concussed for 31 years.
We hope that he gets his head right, but there is a chance that he could play on Sunday because this was not the lingering knee or the lingering back injuries that he has been dealing with this season. So we'll see what his status will be for Sunday.
Did it come on one of the tush pushes? That's what I'm trying to. I actually yesterday did not get to go back. I wanted to go back, didn't have the time to do it. I'm going to go back and try to figure out when it happened.
Did he exit mid-drive or did the drive, because we've seen that before.
I thought he did not exit mid-drive.
So I'll tell you almost definitively it did not happen on a tush push.
Why do you say that?
Because somebody would have blown it up on social media saying cancel the play.
It only came out
Yeah,
yesterday.
but he doesn't.
I know. And in a minute, somebody somewhere would have said, Sean McDermott's cronies would have said concussion, tush push, and everyone would have heard
Sean
it.
McDermott's cronies, they play. They
Yeah,
run
but now
the
they
tush
use
push
the tush push so much they'd have a hard time running that.
They'll still try and kill it.
But yeah, that's something to figure out. Like, how they have the third party person
Sure,
that
absolutely.
Hey, let's
that has to evaluate.
Let's take a look
Brian
at this
Dable.
guy.
Exactly.
All right, what do we got? What do we got in the text line? It's 610-632-0975. When it comes to Jalen Hurts, is he getting enough credit for how he is handling himself during all of this? I know we posted the video of us pinning that question to the show, and Davey G right away responds with, yeah, but less credit for how he's played so far this season.
Is that unfair?
No.
No, neither one of us think that's unfair.
I'm just talking about the leadership qualities.
Yeah,
Is
the
he
leadership
getting enough
qualities of
credit?
not being a jackass and having to constantly create drama for your own team, and by the way, for your own teammates too.
What do we got in the text line?
Mike from Levittown doesn't necessarily agree. He says, look, I like Jalen, but let's not overdo it here. If some of the reports are to be believed, he's a big part of the problem. Going rogue, playing on trusted players and likely coaches as well. Has he addressed the team on his part of things? I don't know. I think we're over-crediting him because he is who he is.
So the going rogue thing is also one of those terms where it may sound harsher.
Sounds worse than it is.
So that play against the Packers, I wouldn't say going rogue. They have the opportunity for him to check into a play.
Correct.
It was dumb.
No, it was very dumb.
It was
we ripped it. We ripped it to absolute shreds.
How many times have we said on the show, like game manager sounds like you think he stinks? Like, no, I'm pro game manager. I'd rather not have 4 interceptions like Sam Darnold had the other day, right? Like I'm pro game manager as long as it's not, so dink and dunk that it's impacting you from winning, which it's not. They're 8-2. But rogue is sometimes a harsh term. That play was dumb, but I don't think it was like a.
He wasn't insubordinate. He was ill-advised.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, and more importantly too is we get that, we understand. Yeah, that's the truth. But the reports, if some of these reports are to be believed, all of the reports involve A.J. Brown. All of them. It's not Jalen not getting along with Devontae. It's not Jalen not getting along with his offensive line. It's not Jalen getting along with anybody else. It's all about A.J. Brown and the drama that he created. And more importantly, Jordan Mailata on his radio show on another sports station here in town that does a good job with him, he made it clear the other night. Blaming Jalen Hurts is the number one reason our offense is having a problem? That doesn't sound right to me. And he said, now, a part of it? We're all a part of it.
Yeah.
He goes, but that's really – other players in the team have gone out of their way to be like, don't buy into this crappy drama.
Yeah.
I mean, it's created.
Now,
It's
look,
not about.
Do I think Jalen Hurts is like 100% blameless when it comes to the drama either? No, I'm sure the way he communicates.
Well, look how he handled Nick Sirianni a few years ago.
Right.
He handled it poorly.
So I don't think he's blameless, but the way it could be a lot worse when he's behind a microphone, and he's not. He handles himself very professionally. So you'll hear the clip that we started the show off with earlier today. He talks about how it comes with the territory. Is Jalen Hurts getting enough credit for how he handles himself during all this? Now, look, offensively, he probably deserves a little bit more heat. The numbers would tell you so. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A banged-up O-line. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles had some issues pop up on the offensive line on their first injury report of the week that came out yesterday. Cam Jurgens is currently dealing with a concussion, and we already know that Lane Johnson's expected to miss some time with a Liz Frank injury. Jalen Phillips, who's had a really great start to his Eagles career, was also limited with a shoulder injury, so a bunch of stuff to keep an eye on. But when it comes to Lane Johnson being replaced by Fred Johnson, Jalen Hurts talked to media yesterday about the faith that he has in Big Fred to make up for Lane's absence.
I have a lot of confidence in Fred. He's a great player. He's shown that, and he's always stepped in and been an anchor for us. So we all have confidence in Fred. And I know he'll relish in this opportunity that's ahead of him.
We'll be watching him closely and the rest of the offensive line in a big divisional matchup for the Eagles Sunday afternoon down in Dallas against the Cowboys. By the way, Jordan Davis, congrats to him. NFC Defensive Player of the Week for his efforts against Detroit. Sixers lost to the Raptors 121-112 last night. Again, a rough third quarter that did end the Sixers in this one. Sixers are back on the road in Milwaukee tonight on the back end of a tough back-to-back tip-offs at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers host the Blues at 7 p.m. That game on WMMR. We'll talk to Scott Lauber coming up at 7:40. Andrew DeCecco from the 8 o'clock hour till the end of the show. This update's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Despite wintry conditions and heavy traffic, holidays must go on. That's why Mercedes-Benz SUVs come with the latest safety technology. Find incredible offers at the Mercedes-Benz Holiday Love Celebration. I'm Connor Thomas for 97.5 The Fanatic.
6:56 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. So, Johnny, you sent me some numbers yesterday about Jalen Hurts' numbers.
Yes.
And he is obviously to blame, partially, right? It's not all on him for how the offense has looked as well. And I've been very consistent. He has not played as great as he has in years past, whether it's eye test, whether it's statistically, whatever you want to look at it, because you mentioned it, statistically, he's still there in terms of the turnover ratio. Like, he's tremendous when it comes to that. But, you know, the yards per attempt and just the way the offense has looked, and you have seen him seemingly take the safer approach at times, which, as you said, that's kind of the directive of the head coach.
No, the head coach says it's the directive.
So that's why I can't put all the blame on Jalen. It's why I can't put all the blame on Patullo. It's why you can't put all the blame on the offensive line. Like, it is why when we have Andrew DeCecco in, who will be joining us for 2 hours today, always talks about the collective, right? Things got to change, though. Like, ultimately, things got to change.
No, they do. And but Jalen Hurts right now is, and the numbers I'll tell you, and Dennis Selman does a nice job with a Z on Twitter. Really does a nice job. I like watching some of the stuff that's up there. Is the offensive EPA. So how much every single play puts you closer to scoring points.
Sure.
Those were the two worst games of the Jalen Hurts era. If you throw out year number 1, 2021,
rookie
pre-A.J. Brown, all that stuff, the year they went 9-8 and still went to the playoffs.
Yeah, which was amazing.
This is the worst. The last two games. So to me, it's one of those things where you're not being alarmist when you say, yeah,
this has to change.
This has got to change because it's horrendous.
And to just say, well, they're winning, I think that's very, let's just kind of put our head in the sand a little bit because, yeah, they are winning and it's fantastic. Thank God for the defense. Like, if the defense is not playing the way that they are, they're not winning these football games. And that needs to change. And it's problematic that this is coming off of the bye, right? The whole self-scouting thing. I think we all thought in the back of our mind, all right, maybe they figure something out during the bye week. They normally do. And look, credit to them. They're 2-0 after the bye, which Nick Sirianni has been after every bye of his career. 5 years as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 2-0 every single post-bye. 2023, it then fell apart. I don't think anybody's expecting that with this team.
No, and the people who are closest to this team have told us, if you expect that, you're off base.
Right.
And the other day, Jeff McClain was very, very adamant about it, that it is not the same.
Right.
It's not the same.
You just worry that there isn't the blueprint, right? And that's what we saw in 2023. The Buffalo Bills did some things that the San Francisco 49ers built off of, and they kind of showed you how to stop the Eagles' offense. And
correct.
Remember, the Eagles' offense was winning games because they were putting up 30 points. Once there was the blueprint on how to stop the Eagles' offense in 2023, they could not mask how bad the defense was anymore. And then it completely fell apart.
Now, one of our good listeners, Jeremy Pyle, who responded on Instagram, to our reel that went up about the Jalen Hurts discussion.
Sure.
He says that he needs to fix his relationship with AJ off the field. That's the problem. You can tell they don't like each other anymore. They don't even communicate with each other. Okay. Why does Jeremy – now, look, I'm just asking Jeremy. I'm asking anybody out there. Why do they just assume that like Jalen has to fix it? And more importantly, with this offense, I think too much of it is people just assume, well, Jalen has to fix it. Jalen has bosses, and bosses indicate what they want and how they want you to do it. And these offensive performances are partly indicators of how Nick Sirianni and his offensive coordinator want to try to win the games.
You know why it hurts for people? I'm not saying that's the way that it should be. As you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, 8 Beasley, Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. And it's actually funny. There was somebody on our YouTube chat that mentioned it, and I want to give them credit, but it was like half hour ago. That Jalen Hurts almost feels like the dad presence, like the mature one, and maybe people think Jalen Hurts, being the stoic, mature person that he is, that's why people go, Hurts needs to be the bigger man to fix it. That
Okay.
might be why somebody has that mindset.
and
that
by the way,
Hurts has to be the guy.
that's fine.
It's not fair.
The problem is this, and what I will tell you is, and this has been reiterated to me by many who cover the team on a daily basis. Jalen does not have that problem with other teammates.
Sure.
With a lot of his other teammates. But he does have that. Somebody indicated to me that Jalen does have the company man type persona.
Okay.
He's gotten paid. He's the biggest guy in the organization. He's the quarterback. And that he is that sort of company man. I'm going to do everything I'm told. I'm going to carry the water for Sirianni. I'm going to do. And some people may look at that as not admirable.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that it's not admirable, that he does what he's told and he's a good teammate but that he's like, this is what we're doing. And other players would rather see him be more vocal and fight for them.
Right. And
that can be part of it.
was something that came out last year. The Jay Glazer report that BG and Big Dom went to Jalen's house during the bye week, and they were like, "Hey, we just need you to be a little bit more vocal." That was one of the reports that came out from that Week 5 bye.
And remember, we also heard it in the past that it was after the 23 season. Lane Johnson was very, very clear about it on Dan Patrick.
Jason Kelce was very clear about it.
Saying that it's like Jason Kelce was like, it's your team now.
Yeah.
And Lane Johnson was along the lines of, Jalen needs to be more of be more the leader now. He has to be the vocal guy. He has to be and maybe that's not his makeup.
Right, but to me, leadership can also be not pouring gasoline on the fire.
No questions asked.
And there's fire surrounding the Eagles, not so much where they got to, you should always evacuate a building if there's a fire. Not so much that they need to call the fire helicopters, as Coop is obsessed with, dropping
fire
water.
helicopters?
Yeah, no,
really?
Maybe you just need a little fire truck to come out and put out the fire. At least that's what's being told by us by reporters. But here was Jalen Hurts yesterday. The reason why we're even talking about this. I came in this morning wanting to talk about the storylines that we aren't talking about enough. And one of those storylines is Jalen Hurts' leadership, because he could add to any of this by saying, I don't know, man. I don't know what's this guy's problem or that guy's problem.
He has every, and he'd have every right to do that, by the way.
Absolutely. Here was Jalen Hurts yesterday when he was asked about the report and then how it comes with the territory.
Yeah, there was a report over the weekend that there's some frustration building in the locker room with your approach. How do you kind of digest that, and what's sort of your reaction to it?
Just go to work every day, and continue to go out there and try and do my best.
Being in the position you are as a starting quarterback in this league, does that kind of come with the territory? And how do you learn to deal with those?
I think it definitely does. And, I take a lot of the responsibility when things are going. I guess I get a lot of attention when things are going well and when things are not going so well. And so I never run away from holding myself accountable. And I think that's exactly what I've taken the approach of doing. When I look at this last game, I take great pride in what we do on offense. I take great pride in how we go out there and play as a team and what our flow is. And so we obviously got work to do, and I think that obviously starts with me. That's always my approach. That's always me looking internally first in everything that we do, and then in due time rising above.
I mean, I love it. He is taking the higher road.
He's taking the high road. He's not going to get drawn into high school drama.
Right.
That A.J. Brown's created. And it is that A.J. Brown created. And I applaud it.
What do we got on the text line? Is this a storyline that's being talked about enough? And what other storylines are not being talked about enough? 610-632-0975.
Yeah, Bill in Harleysville checks in, and he says, I'm starting to grow a bit tired of Jalen's chat GPT answers. Talk is cheap, and as Dougie P once said,
Lose my freaking mind. We better figure this out.
Yeah, look, I understand. What I'm
it's very good,
look,
Connor.
I have said this numerous times, and I don't bat an eye when I say it. I would never want to have a beer with Jalen Hurts. Right, like
no, we've said it before that if you had a chance to play golf with Eagles,
no. Jalen's not one of my top 4 or top 3, right? Right, like I like to listen to music with Jalen.
You would?
Oh yeah.
Would you just go sit there and he's not going to talk to you?
Yes, I kind of actually like that.
But you could listen to that music yourself then.
Yeah, but then we could talk about it. What you think about that?
He's not going to talk about it.
No, he
would.
Dude, I think he'd rather talk about music than football sometimes. bottom line is he's not a guy that I'm like, yeah, he seems like a guy I want to hang out with. And part of it is that, right? Like the Chat GPT. We always talk about how he's probably part robot. He's part AI. Isn't his wife something to do with computer sciences?
And by the way, what did Brady ever give you?
Right.
What did Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, he gave you nothing. Him and Bill Belichick were the worst at this.
Right, but behind the scenes, you always heard about how great of a leader he is.
And he won. And he won like Jalen Hurts wins.
So to the texter, I get what you're saying, but like, what would you rather Jalen Hurts say at the podium? Like, would you rather Jalen Hurts go to the podium and say, yeah, AJ's got beef with me. I'm going to try to figure it out. I'm going to try to get this fixed. So if he says that, that's great and all that he's going to try to fix it, but that's also him admitting that there's beef.
Yeah, but you know what it also does, though? And here's what pisses me off about it. It also is like, well, it's my fault. If you're the person who has to be the one that, like, stops speaking, like, in Instagram reels and things like that, then you are the person, you're, like, admitting fault. I don't believe Jalen's at fault here.
Yeah, but
I don't believe it. I believe it's mutual fault from two guys who don't know how to communicate.
And part of leadership is taking fault when you're not the one at fault.
Yeah,
well,
but
same with Sirianni. Sirianni does it all the time.
Absolutely.
But this is something that shouldn't be public.
It never should be, but that's part of the gig.
So the guy who constantly is making it public refuses to be the one to take any blame for it.
Guess what? Maybe you don't want to play quarterback in the NFL then, because that's part of the job description.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Coming up next, regardless of the drama and the questions of who is to blame for the offense, should we see an improved offense from now until the playoffs? Johnny Numbers will tell you yes. I hope. It's
Yes.
Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5. The
book. Got to be gambler.
All right, with all that he said, she said, BS, there is still a game to be played coming up on Sunday, and there are lots of games still left to be played in the regular season before the Eagles hopefully can continue their road to the repeat, which we've not talked about in a while, the road to the repeat.
There's been a lot of other stuff that has been sort of more top of mind.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's being caused by people or a person, who knows, in-house.
No, it's
with the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's a person. No other player has done this.
Again, the latest, and today's show is more about celebrating Jalen Hurts and how he is handling the drama. But the latest from Deshaun Jackson on his podcast, The House of Action with Deshaun Jackson, which, by the way, that is a spectacular name.
It's not a spectacular podcast, but it's a spectacular name. Have you listened?
No.
Okay, you're not you're not big into this, like sampling a bunch of.
All due respect to Deshaun, we're not listening to the House of Action podcast.
No. It's worth though. I love. Sort of sometimes putzing around and listening to podcasts.
How much time do you have?
I enjoy it. That's why when you say you're so busy, I laugh because I said I actually have responsibilities. You're single.
I got other jobs.
You're single. You can do what you want.
I do my show and I
enjoy.
go home.
I'll say to him, "Did you see this from McAfee? Did you see this?" And you're not a big consumer.
I will tell you later on the show. I did hear something from Ray Dunn yesterday that I pulled and I will play for you guys coming up in a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was listening to Middays with Mark.
Okay, good. That's always good to do.
But this was Deshaun Jackson on his podcast yesterday. Quote, "It's something else going on. I got a great relationship with AJ. I respect him. I can't say it, but I know it's something else going on. It's not all about football. It's not all about X's and O's. I've had situationships with quarterbacks I didn't necessarily like, and when it ain't there, it sticks out like a sore thumb. That's all I'm going to say."
By the way, congratulations to the fine work done by Sean Rodman behind the scenes. Darius Cooper, the 4th and inches that went to that they got flagged for the penalty, that caused the Eagles to go into the 4th and 6th.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Cam Jurgens left the game. I mean, that's when he left the game.
Okay.
That's when the concussion happened. So the concussion, his last play in the game, which is now he's out with a concussion, you can see it. He gets his bell rung on the 3rd down play. Then the 4th down play he's in for, and then he never plays again.
Okay.
So great job by Rodman finding it. So it was 6 minutes to go. It was 16-6 when it happened. Let's hope that everything's all right, Kim.
Great job, Rodman.
Good job, Rodman.
And hopefully he's back on the field Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. So, John, you have numbers about, yards allowed?
Yeah, let's put it this way. This is the best. The good news is it's going to get a lot easier for the Eagles. Things are about to get really easy for the Eagles. So when we look at the offensive numbers, I want everybody to have the opinion you have of the Eagles offense today on November the 20th. I want you to remember that opinion on the first Monday in January when we look back, because the Eagles are about to play, as far as defenses in allowing the most yards, the 29th, the 30th, the 8th, the 11th, the 31st, the 22nd, and the 31st, because they play Washington twice. Things are about to get really easy. So the evaluation process is either going to be, this offense stinks because they can't move the ball against really bad defenses.
Right.
Or it's going to be, the offensive numbers are going to jump up and everyone's going to think it's fixed. So I think we have to go into this saying things are about to get a lot easier. And I do believe the numbers are going to explode. And I think we're going to be
that's
like,
why
wow.
I was yelling around yesterday saying there's no more excuses, right? For what you're saying, and now there's numbers to back it up.
There it is.
Like the defenses that you're playing are not what Detroit threw at you, not what Green Bay threw at you. And we'll have Andrew DeCecco in later on today, and I'm interested to hear what he thinks about the Dallas Cowboys defense, coming up on November the 23rd compared to what it was October and September.
They're a bottom 3 defense either way you look at it.
Right, but
like even with the slight improvement, they've improved from 31 to 30.
Sure.
They're not showing the real improvement.
But will they look better this time around compared to the last time you played them, in which you got blanked in the second half except for the field goal by Jake Elliott? It'll be interesting, though. Like, moving forward, the Cowboys are not the Lions or Packers, right? The Chargers are not the Lions or Packers. The Commanders, as you mentioned, the Bears. Like, these defenses are not as good as the last two that you played. So if you hang your hat on, hey, they didn't put up many points because they played really good defenses. Well, that goes out the window the rest of the way in the regular season. And hopefully you can figure out some things playing up against lesser talented opponents when it comes to defense.
I just wonder, what does it mean? Like, does it, if Temple goes out and beats up on, Sam Houston State,
right,
does it mean anything when they're going up against a real legitimate Division I team? That is
like Oklahoma?
Yeah, because right now it shows you it might not.
That gap's probably a little bit big for the example.
That's a little,
Right.
The Oklahoma one's a big one.
But for the people that said it was just the Giants, the last 2 weeks, you're correct. For the people that said the offense only looked good because it was the Giants,
they're being proven
as of
correct
right now, you are correct. Like,
Yep.
you won that argument. I wasn't going to just sit there for an entire bye week and just say it was just the Giants, it was just the Giants, it was just the Giants. I hope that during self-scouting week, they found things that they did against the Giants that they could use against the Packers and Lions. They clearly have not.
But the problem with the argument of it's just the Giants or it's just the whoever is we've seen this cast of Eagles characters have high success on the offensive side of the ball. But they just need to – you remember with the Pittsburgh game last year? It wasn't they can't throw the ball. It's we need to see them throw the ball. It doesn't matter who it's against. We just need to see it happen.
Yeah, but you know what? This year it's been a lot of can't.
Okay, well,
they've tried everything.
They've tried.
It's not can't. Can't is short-sighted. They threw it against Minnesota.
They don't do it well.
Exactly, which is why the opponent.
But they're not playing Minnesota in January.
It doesn't. They've already last year with the same players. They already did this against Washington in the NFC Championship game, against Kansas City in the Super Bowl. They can do it. We just need to see it again, which is why the opponent doesn't matter to me. It's just show us.
I don't care about the opponents the rest of the way. I'll say this. If it doesn't look good, I will care. If it looks good,
yeah, obviously.
If it looks good, I celebrate it. I don't do the whole, it was just this, it was just that. Because sometimes, you need to put a little deodorant on the stank. And there's a lot of stank right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. You should probably shower and not just rub deodorant over it. But right now, I'll start with deodorant because there's a lot of stank with the Eagles. You can text in. You can call in 610-632-0975. Is Jalen Hurts getting enough credit for how he is handling himself with all the drama that surrounds the team? Now, I heard Ray Dunn say something yesterday.
Was he smoking when he said it?
That was actually pretty funny. It is the best thing I think Ray Dunn's ever said on the station.
Really?
From a sports take standpoint.
Is there a lot to choose from?
I'll play you for that coming up next. And then you'll hear from Dan Orlovsky, who did not hesitate talking about what will hold back this Eagles team if it doesn't get fixed. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. All right. Speaking of Temple. 7:26 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on a Thursday morning, which means today you will hear the local high school athlete standout performance of the week on Unfiltered later on today. So if you're a high school athlete in your life had an amazing game, match, track meet, or any kind of great performance, get some recognition for them on TV and the radio. Just go to 975thefanatic.com/unfiltered. They will announce a winner on the air today. It's sponsored by VCSHR.
Just a heads up, if you submit old high school games from your career and try and pass it off, it does not work.
Did you do that?
How many times have you been rejected?
I've just heard through the grapevine, not me.
Silvana hasn't ripped you for that? Come on now.
All right. So yesterday, I was listening to Middays with Marks, as everybody should.
It's always a good show.
When I was driving, met my nephew yesterday for the first time.
How was that?
That was wonderful. He slept in my arm for like an hour and a half, and I was like, all right, see you guys.
So you're not ready for a baby again? You go back to baby stage.
No, I'm totally content with my potty-trained child.
Oh, boy.
That is nice. I am totally content. But Ray Dunn had a take. It's funny because sometimes, you know, doing this job, like, you could prepare so much, right? And then you say something that had nothing to do with the prepared topics of the show. And that's, like, sometimes the most interesting stuff.
Right.
It's amazing. So I'm listening to Middays with Marks, and they're talking about all the drama with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and everything. And this was Ray Dunn going, a little off script. Not that shows are scripted, but a little off script, going on a bit of a rant about people and the mentality that they had coming into this season and where we are at now.
This is the biggest thing that hurts about this Hurts debate as we continue to talk about it that bothers me. Everyone just sees what they already believe with this. There is no
mind changing?
Yeah, there is no mind changing. You didn't like Patullo through the first 4 games. You hate Patullo right now. You always thought that Hurts wasn't that good and that he's been carried by a supporting cast. You're more emboldened at this point. The accepting of new information on the Hurts debate is maybe the reason why I despise it the most, because whatever you've believed the entire time, you're just dug in now on this point and you're just firing away at the other side. That's, I think, why it drives me nuts, because I don't think I've heard one person yet over this entire stretch say, you know what? Actually,
on second thought,
what I thought in September was wrong. I now believe something totally different.
Now, I will say on this show, we've blamed everybody. But I do, like, Ray's not wrong. Like, there are, where you're at right now, if you've always been, and I see it on our YouTube feed all the time, right? Like, if you believe it's Hurts' problem that the offense doesn't look better, you're going to stick with the Hurts.
Yeah, because you're going to just double down until you're right.
If you think it was Patullo, then you think it's Patullo. If you think it's Nick Sirianni because it's overall it's his team, you think it's Nick Sirianni. And that's just the way that it is. And that's, I don't know if that's right or wrong in society. Well, obviously society, when it comes to like bigger picture stuff, it's wrong because people don't ever want to hear the opposing view in life.
No, people don't do that, do they?
Yeah, they do that. But when it comes to sports talk and sports debate, like, you should be able to have some wiggle room. But to Ray's point, people don't.
Well, why would you this year? Have you gotten enough data on either side of the argument to push people from one side of the aisle to the other? If you're on the side that the Eagles are good and they're just going to keep winning, they're good and they just keep winning. If you're on the side that the offense sucks and it's not going to get better, the offense sucks and it hasn't gotten better.
But the blame game,
right,
on that part of it is absolutely, there is not enough, and I'm going to say it right out because and I am guilty of this. So I'm not accusing fans of doing it. I'm saying I'm guilty of it. Not enough blame for the offense goes to Nick Sirianni, because Nick Sirianni can't take the wheel of a car that has been careening down a cliff. He can't take the wheel because he's not good at it. So he is to blame for hiring his buddy who hasn't done a good enough job,
right,
and then he can't take the wheel and get it to be better.
Yeah, but his license is currently suspended. I don't want him driving.
Yeah, but it's not just him driving.
It's not just
he picked the car,
right,
and he picks what speed he wants the car at. Like, this whole win the turnover battle is Nick Sirianni.
It's his.
And
it's
look,
what he wants
again,
to do.
Not wrong because it's worked.
No, it's
right.
winning.
Like they're 8-2. They won the freaking Super Bowl last
Absolutely.
year. Like it's works.
Winning.
But there's going to be games where you can't just be worried about the turnover battle. I thought the Lions game you would have to throw the ball, be a little bit more aggressive. Fortunately, your defense is that freaking dominant that you kept them to 9 points. But the Eagles' offense only scoring 16 is still problematic. Like that still has to get better.
And the mealy-mouthed answers as to what the explanation is suck. They suck. They have to get better. And but Nick Sirianni doesn't tell you any more than he is required, but he also then gives you stuff that you go, come on, dude. That's not the answer. The answer is right now, we got a bad offensive plan. It's terrible.
Now,
it is a bad offensive plan.
We go from Ray Dunn to Dan Orlovsky. Some would say Ray Dunn, has better takes. I don't know.
Dan Orlovsky? Yes. Well, I mean, no one questions that the football acumen's probably even.
So
it's probably a toss-up.
Yesterday, Dan Orlovsky, was this on NFL Live or was this on Get Up? NFL Live.
No, this was Get Up. Excuse me.
This was on Get Up, talking about what will hold the Eagles back.
Right now, this is why I say this offense can't win the Super Bowl, is because it's the deadly combination of two things: way too many 3-and-outs and not nearly explosive enough. Okay, so right now, 3-and-outs, they're the worst in the NFL. I can have you be a 3-and-out offense if you're unbelievably explosive. They're worse than middle of the pack when it comes to explosive plays. Or I can have you just be an explosive offense if you're crazy efficient. But they're neither. And so there's that deadly combination of they either get a 3-and-out or they have like one explosive player quarter. That's not going to be good enough against teams like LA, against teams like the Seattle Seahawks. It's going to come back to bite them unless they fix it.
So the explosive plays, we've gone through this a couple of times where the day after a game, if you go to NFL.com, they have the 16-page game
Absolutely.
book. And one of the pages is the longest play, the top 10 longest plays for both teams' offenses. There have been way too many games this year in which like half of them are under 10 yards. Now they're 8-2. So somebody hearing that will say, well, what does that matter? It's kind of like last year when Alex Smith is saying they can't win the Super Bowl by running the football. Well,
and they did.
They did. Now, they obviously had to throw in the Super Bowl because the Chiefs sold out to stop the run, and it showed you, all right, when a team sells out to stop the run, Jalen Hurts was able to beat people in man coverage. Now defenses are throwing the zone at them, and that's something that they have to figure out in a way to make Jalen Hurts more comfortable. But, like, Dan's not wrong in what he said. Now, I don't think – here's my biggest –
no, he's not wrong. He's absolutely right.
But here's my biggest pushback.
Okay, what?
My biggest pushback, because to what Connor just said, like if you think the offense stinks, you're correct every single week. If you think they just keep on finding ways to win, you're correct because they're 8-2. To say definitively they cannot win unless this stuff gets better, I push back on it because every freaking week I'm proven wrong.
Okay, I'm going to give you that's logical, but I'm also going to tell you that this year's Seattle is not last year's Minnesota. This year's Rams is not last year's Rams.
Sure.
The road to the bowl to get it done is going to be more rugged. So,
absolutely. Look, let me tell you this.
What do you mean?
I think what Dan Orlovsky's
the Rams are decidedly better than they were last year.
Yeah, but are they better than what the Lions were last year?
No, the Lions weren't in their path. The Lions ended up being the path. They got injured. They lost 6 guys starters.
There's a lot of time left for things to change.
Well, no, but if somebody loses 6 starters, we'll change the talking point.
Right.
Nobody's losing 6 starters on their defense, but if it happens, we'll talk about it then.
This is the point what Andrew's about to make, why it's crazy to say definitively they can't win.
So, look.
Yeah, but you talk about if a Scooby-Doo scenario happens, we talk about the Scooby-Doo scenario when it happens.
Right. Ultimately,
you don't assume that craziness is going to happen.
Dan Orlovsky is not wrong that the 3-and-outs need to freaking stop and the explosive plays need to happen, and we need to stop worrying about dinking and dunking our way down the field every single time. But to say definitively, I'll go, look, I would rather this top 5 defense have a top 5 offense with them. That would be nice.
But you can't. I don't know that you can. With the mentality that Nick Sirianni wants to have, I don't think you can have a top 5 offense.
No, probably not.
And you know what? I don't have a problem with it. But what I need is an efficient offense.
Right.
And I need an efficient offense that helps its defense by not making the defense play so many minutes.
Yeah.
All the 3 and outs.
The 3 and outs.
That's unacceptable.
To me, the 3 and outs is even more egregious than the lack of explosive plays.
There could be a middle ground that's really, really acceptable and understandable.
Give your defense time to breathe, right? Like, that would be nice.
Would be fun.
All right, coming up next, little break from Eagles talk because it is MLB offseason time. We had the Ken Rosenthal report where maybe there will be more Major League players on the move than prospects for the Phillies this offseason. What is Scott Lauber hearing? We'll discuss that with him next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this Thursday morning, which means we'll be joined by our man Andrew DeCecco for the final 2 hours of the show, our Eagles insider here at 97.5 The Fanatic. But joining us now on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. He does a tremendous job covering the Phillies and Major League Baseball for the Inquirer. Experience the new look of Inquirer Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters and columnists. Just go to inquirer.com/sports. From the Inquirer, our man Scott Lauber joins us. Scott, good morning, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing good. We're following every single nugget that is the Philadelphia Phillies and their offseason right now. So I'm curious. I want to start off with this. Do you believe Dave Dombrowski will move on from over/under 3.5 position players from the everyday lineup last year with the Phillies?
Wow, that's a good number. That's a good over/under 3.5. I would say over, because I think Nick Castellanos is good as gone. He's basically, Dombrowski has basically said that when he said that he talked with them after the season, and kind of the message was a change of scenery is good for everyone. So right away, that's one off your list. They're not going to bring back, I don't think, all three of Schwarber, Real Muto, Bader. So that's probably another one off the list. I mean, do you count Max Kepler because he's not coming back? Do you count, so that's three. So, yeah, I think you're right. You're right on that number, and it's probably going to be right around that number if you're talking about regular players or everyday guys. So that's probably what you're looking at. I would say over, but, I could see it coming in right around 3 as well.
Scott, I've spent too much time this offseason already looking at how older rosters and how old this roster could look if they decide to lock down Schwarber to a long-term deal. It looks like there's an impending cliff of just age, money, and over-the-hill guys. And the Phillies seem like, at least if I go by Dave Dombrowski's comments, that they really want to do it and they embrace it.
Yeah, I mean, all you got to do, right, is look back about 15 years or 10 years to the, what happened to the 08-09 crew and how it sort of a step back every year in the playoffs and then off the cliff in 2012 or after 2012. So, you don't have to look that far.
Correct.
To sort of see what happens. So, no, I mean, look, you're right. And, look, I think that they're going to tell you, no matter what they do in the offseason, they're going to tell you that the age thing is going to be mitigated by the fact that Justin Crawford's going to be here next year as an everyday guy, and he's 20, he'll be 22 by opening day. I'll point to Andrew Painter, who's going to be in the rotation at age 22 if he's on the opening day roster, and I think he will be. So they're going to tell you that, finally, this is the year where internally they're getting younger, and so even if they bring back Schwarber and if they bring back Real Muto, guys who are 34 and 35, they're going to tell you that that's offset by the fact that they've got Crawford, they've got Painter, Aiden Miller is on the way. So that's how they're going to sort of position it. And there's some validity to that. But, no, you're right. I mean, you're right that they're not getting any younger. And if they were to add another free agent in his 30s, that's not going to help either. So they are getting a little older. But, look, that was going to happen with this group because of how many of them are signed to long-term contracts.
Scott, when it comes to Kyle Schwarber, I mean, I say it. I'm signing him no matter what. John doesn't want to go past, 4 years is the number that John doesn't want to go past.
4 would be the longest I would go.
Do you believe that the Phillies desperately need Kyle Schwarber back, or could you see a world in which they go, you know what, we're not going to reach the money, even though we've been telling you all along that we will be, and we'll move on and we'll try to find a replacement for Schwarber or replacements?
Well, I'll answer that by saying this. So me personally, if I was running the front office, no, I don't think that they should be desperate. I don't think that it's like Kyle Schwarber or bust. I think that there are ways that they could go in the off season that don't involve Kyle Schwarber and still be a really good team next year. Like, you could make an argument that a guy like Alex Bregman might be a better fit for this roster, or a guy like Cody Bellinger, who plays the outfield and first base at an elite level. Bats left-handed, might not hit 50 homers, but he'll hit 30, and gives you more flexibility in the DH spot than you would have if you bring back Kyle Schwarber. So, no, I don't think it's a must-have, but I do think that they're going to bring him back, and I do think that there's a real argument for bringing him back because of number one, the production that you get. Number two, the leadership component in the clubhouse. I don't think that can be overstated. I think he's really kind of the glue that holds the whole thing together. And so from that standpoint, I think, that's part of the cost for a player like Kyle Schwarber, and I think it's a unique cost. I think they're going to bring him back. I still do. I mean, the people that I talk to seem to think that as well, both inside and outside the organization. Now, that's not to say that another team might not step up and get crazy, right? I mean, maybe the Red Sox decide that Schwarber's their guy more so than Pete Alonso or even Bregman, and they offer up a fifth year, and now you've got a stretch to go somewhere where it's really uncomfortable to go. That could happen, but, I mean, I think that ultimately he likes it here. Look, I saw the report, just as you guys did, that the Pirates are looking to spend this offseason a little bit more than usual. And
what, 10 cents more?
Well, look, I mean, they should, because they have Paul Skeens, right? So you've got to either trade Paul Skeens or try to win while you have him. But if I'm Kyle Schwarber, right, and I've made the playoffs 10 of my 11 years in my career, odds are I'm not going there with the Pirates. And so I think that, I was talking to Joe Madden last week for our podcast, and Joe Madden knows Kyle Schwarber very well from their time in Chicago, and he said, look, I'm not going to tell you that he's going to give anybody a discount, but, I've never gotten the sense that Schwarber's a guy who's going to hold out for the last dollar to go just anywhere. He likes it here. He's comfortable here. His family likes it here. I do think he wants to come back on a fair offer, and I think ultimately there's going to be a fair offer for him to come back here.
It's interesting when I hear, I monitor fan sites or blog sites and everything, and they're proposing trades, and they're saying, well, the Phillies should trade Marsh and Bohm and Castellanos and put a package together. And I'm like, what do people think the market value is for the guys that they've got? Because I look at the guys that they potentially could trade, and I don't see that there's going to be much of a return available unless you're looking to restock minor leagues.
I think you're right about that. I think Brandon Marsh probably still has some value to people around the league. I don't think, obviously like Castellanos. See, the Castellanos thing makes me scratch my head because so the other night the Orioles make a trade. They trade Grayson Rodriguez to get Taylor Ward. Now, on paper, that looks like a lopsided trade. Grayson Rodriguez is 26 years old. He's got 4 years of control. I know he missed all of this year with an elbow injury, but he's a young, controllable pitcher. And you're getting back Taylor Ward, who hits a lot of home runs, but he strikes out a lot. He's 32. He's going into his walk year. Those don't look like equal assets, right? I thought Alec Boehm for Taylor Ward was a deal that made sense, both for the Angels and for the Phillies. The players lined up in terms of money, in terms of control. But I think what you saw in that trade is how much teams are valuing outfield, right? Like there's just not a whole lot out there right now to get either in free agency or in a trade if you need outfield help. And so Taylor Ward got the Angels a controllable young pitcher. So, if the Phillies are out there talking about we'll trade Alec Boehm, you have to ask yourself how much you're going to get. And look, I think that the Taylor Ward trade does actually bode well for the Castellanos market because there's got to be some team out there that would say, hey, you pay all $20 million, we'll take Nick Castellanos. A free Nick Castellanos might hit us 20 home runs. He might help us in the outfield. But based on what I hear and, in talking to people, it just doesn't sound like there's been a whole lot of traction on a Castellanos trade for the Phillies, even if they pick up all the money, even with the outfield shortage around baseball. So that one kind of makes me scratch my head because I have a hard time thinking that they're not going to get something, even if it's a B or C level prospect for Nick Castellanos.
All right, last thing for you, Scott. We appreciate the time as always. You don't also have to just sign for players. You can trade for players, and you were just mentioning trading away Nick Castellanos. Is the names that keep on popping up, a Buxton, a Joe Adele, and then pick your catcher, because if they do not re-sign JT Realmuto, I imagine they don't go into the year saying Rafael Marchand's our guy. So what's the more likely name to hear, a Buxton, an Adele, or like an Adley Rutschman behind the dish?
Well, I think Adele probably comes off the board now that Ward has been traded out of Anaheim. I don't think that they're going to move on from both Ward and Adele. That leaves them short in the outfield. So I'd probably cross him off. I mean, I could be wrong. They could decide, to just redo the outfield completely there. But I think Joe Adell is probably back. Buxton's the one I keep looking at and calling people about, because to me that's, there are not many players that fit the Phillies' needs better than Byron Buxton. I know there are injury concerns there, but he's in the prime of his career. He is ultra productive when he plays. He is a center fielder. They've needed a center fielder for like 10 years.
They should have Joel Embiid pick him up at the airport if they go and make this deal. Honestly, he plays 95 games a year. They can't do this.
Yeah, no, I know that. I know that, and that's the concern with him. But look at what he does in a year like last year where he's healthy, and maybe, look, the Phillies. I will tell you this: the Phillies trust their training staff. They have done a good job for the most part, the last 3-4 years of keeping their players healthy relative to the rest of the league. So I don't know. Maybe they think that they can keep them healthy. The thing I'm watching with the Twins is what do they do with Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez? Because Byron Buxton has a no-trade clause that he said last year at the All-Star game he is not going to waive. He said, "I'm a Minnesota Twin for life." Those are his words. Now, if they trade Joe Ryan or if they trade Pablo Lopez, one of their two top pitchers, that's a sign that the Twins are, in fact, just totally rebuilding, totally reloading, even more so than what they did at the deadline where they traded away 10 guys. So I think if they trade one or both of those pitchers, Buxton could say, you know what, this Twin for life thing, that was good when I thought we were trying, not when I thought we were rebuilding. I think he would waive his no trade if they trade one of those two pitchers, or certainly both. So I'm watching Buxton closely because I'm watching the Twins to see exactly what they do. Right now they're signaling that they're going to try to compete with that pitching and try to build around it. If that happens, I don't think he's going anywhere. If they do trade a pitcher, I do think he would consider moving. So he's the one I'm watching. I do agree with you about the catcher situation. I think if JT doesn't come back, it's a trade for a catcher. I don't know who that's going to be. Right. I don't think it's going to be Adley Rutschman. I don't think he's moving. But, there are some teams out there. I've thought about reverse engineering the Ohapi trade, right? Like, there are some teams out there that have a young catcher who's ready for the big leagues, who's blocked. Seattle's got Harry Ford.
Yep.
There are others. So I'm watching that closely, but, I do think that their priority is still to bring back Real Muto and go from there.
All right, Scott. Listen, man, we appreciate the time, Scott, as always. Great work
Enjoy
for
your
the
off-season.
Inquirer. Yeah. Well, no, that offseason with this Phillies team. And Phillies Extra, right. The podcast is tremendous. Keep up the great work, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks so much, guys.
There he is, Scott Lauber on the Comcast Business Hotline.
I feel, when you talk to Scott Lauber, I feel listened to. I feel like he got great information. He is he's great at posing both sides of an argument too.
Damn right he is.
What to do.
All right, coming up next, Andrew the Checo joins us for the remainder of the show today. We'll ask him about this Hurts leadership question and whether or not he's getting enough credit for how he handles himself during this time of drama with the Eagles. It is Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Health questions for Dallas Week. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Anheuser-Busch. Join Bill Colarulo this Thursday, tonight from 8 to 10 p.m. at the Green Parrot for the Ultra Access Sixers Watch Party. $3.50 Ultras and a chance to score a Sixers Suite experience with Bill. Sponsored by Michelob Ultra. Please enjoy responsibly. Eagles had some issues pop up on their first injury report of the week yesterday. Cam Jurgens dealing with a concussion. Lane Johnson expected to be out with a Liz Frank injury. So that means Fred Johnson's got to step up big. And we heard from Jalen Hurts recently about his faith in Fred Johnson.
I have a lot of confidence in Fred. He's a great player. He's shown that, and he's always stepped in and been an anchor for us. So we all have confidence in Fred. I know he'll relish in this opportunity that's ahead of him.
He'll have to play a big part in the Eagles' divisional matchup with the Cowboys this Sunday. So will Jordan Davis, who won NFC Defensive Player of the Week honors after his game against the Lions. Sixers lost to the Raptors 121-112 last night. They're back on the road in Milwaukee tonight, back end of their back-to-back. Tip-off is at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. The Flyers host the Blues at 7 p.m. That game will be on our sister station, WMMR. Andrew DeCecco joins the guys next. This update's also brought to you by Gary Barbera. Once again, Gary Barbera's on the Boulevard is proud to support ToysForTots.org. Every vehicle on Barbera's lot helps Toys for Tots. Is Barbera the best? Boy, I guess go Birds. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I would love to just get right into sports talk as you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, WPN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities, especially because our man Andrew DeCecco is here with us for the remainder of the show. But I just saw one of the weirdest things happen during the commercial break.
You're gaslighting me.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
So
Okay,
there were
look at
two
this.
other
Now
witnesses.
Look at this. Look me in the eye. Tell me the way you're saying is true.
What I'm saying is true.
Andrew Salciunas is not a liar. And I can tell you right there, because when Andrew Salciunas is screwing,
that's CSI right there.
When Andrew Salciunas is screwing around with you, I can tell when you're messing
What are
around
your
with
qualifications?
He's absolutely not
Come on,
messing
man, he's
around.
watched soap operas before,
Yes,
all
believe
right?
me, I know Sidwell was going to shoot. I knew he was going to kill somebody yesterday.
Connor's doing
John
his-
watches a lot of TV.
Yes, sometimes too much. Connor's doing his fake golf swing out there, like every bro in the world has to do.
No, it's usually middle school boys.
Yeah, let me do the
They don't
fake
golf.
pump fake. Let me do the
Yeah, it's a
fake
little
golf
middle school
swing.
boy shot.
And he's doing the golf swing, and an acorn fell on the ground. I don't know if it was from your pocket
or his pants.
Was it? Did you have an acorn in your pants?
Is that
that
an
just
acorn
fell
in your
through
pants?
the
Are you happy
net?
to see us?
I don't carry acorns
Like
on me.
Vito was
That
there,
can't be
Sean
for me.
Rodman was there. We all saw you do your fake stupid golf swing,
Okay, wait
and
a
an
minute.
acorn was
Wait a
then
minute.
at your feet.
Was it you're wearing your Union hoodie?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it have a front hands pouch?
It does.
Yes.
That's where it was.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was. That's where it was.
John, I carry stuff in the front pouch every morning, including my breakfast. There's no acorn in there. I didn't have an acorn on me.
You had an acorn on.
Why would Andrew carry an acorn in his pocket?
Yes.
To
and
gaslight you.
just to plant it on you.
It probably came. I don't know.
Was there,
It came from
was
the
there a
ceiling.
second acorn somewhere?
Look at DeCecco coming in here with logic right off the bat that blows Connor's I'm being gaslighted right out of
It's
it.
ridiculous.
Connor, just take the loss and let's
I
move
didn't have
forward.
an acorn.
There's really no defense for
This
this.
is preposterous.
Acorn boy.
Acorn boy.
No.
You hungry?
No.
Oh, there you
Come on,
go.
man. All right.
Look at this acorn. It's
Good
really,
morning, Andrew.
Really
How
shiny.
are you? Well,
Hello.
Welcome into the
Good
show.
morning.
Hello, greetings.
So today we started the show off, believe it or not, talking about the drama of the Philadelphia Eagles, but
No.
different spin.
But our spin's different.
It's a storyline that's not being talked about enough, and it's Jalen Hurts and how he handles himself during all this in a positive way. Because I brought up at the very beginning of the show, if Donovan McNabb was the quarterback right now, do you think it would be as calm from the quarterback during his press conferences?
Probably not.
Jalen Hurts deserves more credit for how he handles himself, especially yesterday when he was straight up asked about it. We'll play you the clip here. Jalen Hurts asked about the reports that came out over the weekend and then how he handles himself as the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles.
There was a report over the weekend that there's some frustration building in the locker room with your approach. How do you kind of digest that, and what's sort of your reaction to it?
Just go to work every day. Go to work every day, and continue to go out there and try and do my best.
Being in the position you are as a starting quarterback in this league, does that kind of come with the territory? And how do you learn to deal with it?
I think it definitely does, and I take a lot of the responsibility when things are going. I guess I get a lot of attention when things are going well, and when things are not going so well, and so I never run away from holding myself accountable. And I think that's exactly what I've taken the approach of doing. When I look at this last game, I take great pride in what we do on offense. I take great pride in how we go out there and play as a team and what our flow is. And so we obviously got work to do, and I think that obviously starts with me. That's always my approach. That's always me looking internally first in everything that we do, and then in due time rising above.
When it comes to Jalen Hurts, Andrew, look, there's stats and fantasy football and over-unders and parlays and all that kind of stuff. When it comes to the drama that is surrounding the Eagles, it's there. Whether it's overblown or not, it's there. When you hear Jalen Hurts talk like that, is that not talked about enough, his leadership qualities?
Maybe from a national perspective, it's not talked about enough, but locally, I think everyone's well aware of who he is as a leader. You often hear stoicism described when talking about Jalen Hurts, and that comes with the position. You have to be able to handle it, good and bad, and I think he does a good job of taking everything in stride, all things considered.
What do you feel? They say sometimes the team takes on the sort of the personality of the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe the Eagles take on the personality of their coach?
Yeah, accountability and discipline, fundamentals, they all sort of echo a similar sentiment, which to me underscores Nick Sirianni and how important his voice resonates throughout the locker room. And I don't think that's by coincidence. When you continuously talk about and harp about and live those same principles day in and day out, it becomes habit. And that's something that I've noticed and observed covering this team, on an everyday basis.
Now, coming up at 8:10, don't forget, we do that every single week when Andrew's in studio with us. So we do questions for DeCecco. So start sending them in now at 610-632-0975. Questions for DeCecco. And Andrew will answer them so great as he does every single week that he's with us. It could be about this upcoming game, could be about the state of the Eagles, whatever. And he's also said that if there's ever any overflow of questions, you'll have them for the podcast, Birds Buzz, which is tremendous.
Which is really good ride along, especially on game day.
Did you listen to the last one?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Very good.
So send them in, 610-632-0975, questions for DeCecco. Speaking of the text line, what do we got, Connor, on this Hurts leadership discussion that we've been having this morning and other storylines that aren't being talked about enough, which I want your answer after our text message.
I have several. Eagles, Cowboys.
I know you have a lot. What do we got?
You don't want the acorn theories? Because there's a bunch of them. Seth in Philly says, let's not forget that week 1, Dallas put out the blueprint on us with the zone defense. Still think we need to win handsomely for team and fan morale this weekend. Dallas sucks. Go Birds.
What do you make of the zone defense and the issues that it's causing the Eagles?
Yeah, well, there's no surprise that Jalen hasn't been as proficient going against zone coverage, throwing against zone coverage than he is man coverage. But I also think that we're forgetting that when the first time these two teams met, Jalen Hurts picked up quite a few yards on the ground, and a lot of that has to do with how the Cowboys rush. So there are going to be ways that they can move the football if they continue to rush linearly like they did last time. And I compare it to a team like the Broncos where they sort of had this umbrella type of rush where it precludes running lanes for quarterbacks. If they continue to rush that same way, they're going to be able to move the football. But I have to tell you guys, this Dallas team, I'm not trying to, conjure any illusions of grandeur or anything, but they have some different pieces there on defense. It's a different team than the last time they faced.
Oh, don't worry. That is coming up at 8:30.
You talk about this Eagles team in great length too. I want to get into the new look defense that you talked about.
Yeah.
In last week's podcast, boy, we saw it play out on Sunday night.
Fantastic defense, man.
All right, coming up next, questions for DeCecco. Send them in, 610-632-0975. Don't send them in during the segment. Send them in now so that Connor can put them to the side, and we'll go through those next. It is Kincade and Salciunas. Andrew DeCecco with us for the remainder of the show today here on 97.5, The Fanatic. All right, let's talk about
All
right, just to let you guys know, coming up around 9:45, we are going to have another very special guest in studio. So not only do we have Andrew Zuchecka with us for the remainder of the show, we'll have another special guest. I'll tell you more about that coming up later on.
They share some commonalities, too, I think, in personality.
Sure, maybe.
These two,
we'll see.
The guest and Andrew Zuchecka sort of remind me of each other.
But during that segment, we have a pair of tickets to give away for the Sixers-Hawks game. We're going to do a fun little game with our special guest that is in studio. The game is Sunday, November 30th, so 10 days from now at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. Single-game tickets are on sale now at Sixers.com. Tickets, of course, will be sent to you via email. So we'll let you know who our special guests will be in a little bit, but we do not do today's headlines. Today, we do questions for DeCecco, so hit us with that football music, and it's brought to us by who, Connor?
Our friends over at Lundy Law. If you maybe slip on an acorn at work, shout out Harry Mays. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name, Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com.
By the way, I was working with him during that. It was bad.
That's a wild story if you haven't heard it. But.
Fell down the side of he was walking to his golf ball on the side of a hill, and there was acorns, and it was wet, so he slipped on them. His ankle looked like Cam Scatterboos.
Oh, my God.
Like, it was...
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, he had the wheelie scooter.
That's terrible.
It was horrible.
If that happened to me at a golf club, it'd be called the Checo's Meadows or something like that. I'll tell you that
That's a good point.
Lundy Law can help you.
What do we got?
We'll get to our questions. This first texter asks, I don't understand all of this offense focus. Does defense still win championships in the modern NFL?
Yeah, it certainly can, especially if you're predicated on takeaways and you're able to get after the quarterback, which the Eagles seem to be rounding into form in that area. I think they can. Now, it's unfair to expect the defense, and unrealistic, to hold teams to 7 and 9 points.
Right.
They need, the offense to, uphold their end of the bargain, and I think they will. But, yeah, this defense is something special. I think they have the potential to be better than last year.
When you tell the story of Super Bowl 59, first things out of your mouth.
Josh Sweat.
Are you going to talk about the defense?
Yeah.
All right. What else?
Do you view the Eagles as currently constructed and where they're at right now as a Super Bowl team?
I do. And I don't really view any team aside from the Rams being anywhere on the same playing field as the Eagles right now. It's just the nature of the NFL this season, and I think the Eagles have the necessary ingredients to be able to seal the deal.
All right, what else we got?
We also have a check-in here on Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni. This texter wants to know, do you think that Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni are as worried about the offense behind the scenes as some people are in the fan base?
No, I don't, because this is Nick Sirianni's scheme. This has been successful. I think Jalen Hurts in his last 588 pass attempts has thrown just 2 interceptions. They have a successful formula to how to win football games, and they believe in it with conviction.
Now, do they believe in it to the point where they've scored 10 points and 16 points?
I think that they may look at that and say, well, it was frigid conditions against the Packers, and it impacted both teams. And the wind, whether or not some may want to acknowledge it, it played a big part in that game. So there's no excuses this week. The optimal conditions will be there at AT&T Stadium indoors, and a defense that's going to give you those opportunities.
There's one excuse. That damn sunlight.
Well, that's only going to be for like 1 quarter.
Yeah, but still, that damn sunlight, the stupid building that they built. What else we got?
This texter, Jake from Alabama, asks, when Tank Bigsby is in, the defense isn't stacking the box. The holes are opening up more, and I think it's led to some of Tank Bigsby's longer runs. Should the Eagles look at playing Bigsby more to create this mismatch?
Yeah, I think so. It's noticeable to the eye that Tank Bigsby provides a spark when he's in there. He runs hard, and sometimes he creates his own holes, and he'll kind of seek out contact. And I think something like that can give it an offense a jolt when you're sort of stuck in neutral.
And you're not asking for 20 touches. You're
no,
saying,
I'm saying maybe more than
carries?
4. Yeah, maybe more than the 4 that he had. He had 4 for 34 against the Lions.
You say 6, 7?
Pretty productive.
What else we got?
Colby in Central PA checks in, says, with the O-line being banged up and Fred Johnson and Brett Toth being potentially put into action, how much faith do you have in those 2 guys to help this team win?
Yeah, a lot. And a lot of that stems from covering them for this season and also prior seasons and seeing their approach and hearing how Jeff Stoutland talks about them. And then when they've gotten their opportunities, they've answered the bell. So I feel pretty good about it. Now, for Fred Johnson, this is going to be a more sizable sample size here, and it's very difficult to fill the shoes of Lane Johnson, but he has the right mindset and approach, and he's really taken to Jeff Stoutland's coaching.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, Trevor from Percy will round us out, and he says, the guys have been talking about AJ's lack of separation a little bit today. Do you think separation is a big part of why he has not been getting the ball so much, even though people talk about him being a great 50-50 wide receiver?
Yeah, I mean, you go back and watch any of the games, and I watched the all 22. It's evident that he's not separating with the same regularity that we've grown accustomed to seeing.
Hammy?
What's that?
Hammy?
I don't know what it is. I'm not going to speculate there, but I can definitely see that he's not separating as he used to. Now, he's somebody that if you throw the football up to, more often than not, you give him an opportunity, those 50-50 balls become 70-30 balls. And I think they need to get back to doing more of that.
All right. There's our questions for DeCecco. Thank you, everybody who sent them in. And if there's any overflow, he'll be able to go through them on his podcast, Birds Buzz, on 97.5thefanatic.com. And it's a tremendous podcast.
It is. You talked about if anyone would go back, sometimes you don't want to go back and listen to older podcasts, but go back and how you previewed the Lions game, talking about the new look defense. And I got to tell you, you were very bullish on what you thought this had the potential to do. And then I saw that performance Sunday night. You never thought it could be that good, though, right?
Not to hold that team, that the Lions entered that game averaging 31.4 points a game. But, I was really optimistic about the trajectory of the defense, given the pieces that were sort of adding to what they already had, that contingent. But I kind of likened that game going into it, if you guys remember, to the Eagles-Ravens game last season, where it was cold, it was an ugly game, but it was a hard-fought defensive slugfest. And last season, they used that as sort of a springboard towards the backstretch of the season. And I kind of view that the same way. Now, this game coming up, I kind of liken it to the Steelers game of last season.
Okay. That would be nice to see.
I like that.
And I would like for Jalen Hurts to say, so is that what y'all wanted to see? Coming up next, speaking of new-look defenses, the Cowboys have new pieces. They have guys that have returned from injury. So there is a new-look Cowboys defense. Just how much better are they? We'll get Andrew DeCecco's thoughts on it, and we'll get his thoughts on the matchups to watch for this Sunday game, Eagles-Cowboys, where the Eagles could very well end the season playoff chances for the Dallas Cowboys. It is Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, let's talk about that FanDuel Sportsbook app, because every NFL Thursday is your chance to hit the jackpot on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge. It is 8:26 here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Our man Andrew DeCecco with us for the remainder of the show today. And this is always one of my favorite points to get into when we have Andrew in. It's to discuss the matchups that are coming up this weekend for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then I want to talk about the defense of the Dallas Cowboys and how it does look different. How much different / how much better will let Andrew DeCecco be the judge of that. But when you're watching the game on Sunday, what are going to be the matchups that you're going to be focusing on the most this Sunday?
Well, I think the game within the game is going to be the Eagles pass rush versus a Dallas offensive line that's now healthy, and they have a lot of big-time players on that line. So this will be a big test. I look at from the interior spot, Tyler Booker, who's a young guard going against Moro Jomo, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis. All three players are playing exceptional football right now, and I think that's something I'll be looking at. They also have a rookie corner in Savone Ravel, and he hasn't played a lot of football this year. He wasn't there for the previous matchup. I would go after him if I'm the Eagles with either Devontae or A.J. Brown. Likely going to be Devontae Smith, I would imagine. And on that playing surface, indoors, it sets up to be one of those games where I think the passing game should be able to show some semblance of what they've been in glimpses this season. And I also look at the special teams because Brandon Aubrey is the equalizer in this game. He's kicked a 64-yarder. I think he's 18 of 19 in field goals. And so they might not need to advance the ball all that much to give him an opportunity. In fact, Michael Clay, the Eagles special teams coordinator, said it wouldn't surprise him if they attempt a 70-yarder in this game. So that's something to keep an eye on. They also have Cavante Turpin as their punt and kick returner, who is an explosive weapon that in a game like this that it could be relatively closely contested because I think the Cowboys can score some points. That's something that could make a difference.
Week 1, they did pretty well against Turpin, if I remember correctly.
And I spoke to Sidney Brown yesterday, actually. You know, he's one of the gunners along with Keely Ringo, and they serve a really important role in coverage because if you don't keep contained and you allow a crease, I mean, that's something that all of a sudden it becomes a 25-yard return, if not more. And in a game like that, I don't think you want to, especially when your offense isn't playing particularly well, you don't want to allow the third phase to kind of alter the complexion of that game.
Permission for a third phase question for our special teamers out there. What did they do differently this past week against the Lions? Because they were really good at covering kicks and punts, like more than they have been, I think, noticeably at other points this year.
Well, I really appreciate this question, and I would say Keely Ringo and Sidney Brown both did an exceptional job, especially Keely Ringo. He made a nice one-on-one tackle. I don't know that a lot can fully appreciate the role of a gunner, but it's 2 against 1, and you have to have foot quickness. You have to have physicality and technique to be able to defeat, then split that double team and get down the field and either force a fair catch or work the returner inwards so someone like a Cam Latu or a Jeremiah Trotter Jr. or Cal Adamitis, their long snapper,
yes, he had a nice tackle.
He had 2 tackles in
Great
that
hair,
game,
too.
Can
Great
kind of
hair.
clean it up.
From your pre-scouting, is Dallas a team that you want to, by offensive plan, use the run to loosen things up to then pass all over them, or is it vice versa?
Yeah, I think, John, that they're going to continue to try and run the football. Foundationally, we all know that's what they want to do. They should have success doing so, whether it's with Saquon Barkley, Tank Bigsby. I believe that you could see all 3 running backs in this game because they all bring something different, but they're also players that you can roll in because they have the ability to not only just hit the inside zone runs, they can work outside, and they can all catch the football. So maybe just to keep them on their toes, you might see maybe some more Tank Bigsby, maybe a little bit of Will Shipley like he did in the Packers game. And then I think that's ultimately going to set up the pass in this one. So I will say this, though, because I know it's easy to look back on week 1 and say the Eagles should be able to steamroll this team. And you can look at the 33-16 win that the Cowboys just had over the Raiders and say it was just the Raiders. But they're pretty much getting 5 different players on their defense this week. That's almost half of a defense.
All right. Yeah, let's talk about that because, I think there's no more excuses for the Eagles offense for many reasons. You've mentioned the no wind, the freezing cold temperatures of Lambeau. Like, you're indoors, controlled environment. The big difference will be that sunlight for about a quarter. The Cowboys defense is not what the Packers have. It's not what the Lions have.
Yeah.
Would you agree there?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of new names or guys coming back from injury. Malik Hooker's coming back. Overshown played his first game last year. He's a beast. Quinnen Williams, they make the trade for. Logan Wilson, they make the trade for.
And Ravel at corner,
yeah,
opposite Deron Bland.
So how much better is the Dallas Cowboys defense from like a month ago? Forget week 1. I'm just saying from a month ago when everybody was talking about how the Cowboys defense was going to be the reason why they would lose football games.
Yeah, I think they're certainly a better unit. I don't know if I would say appreciably better, but they have a number of different pieces and playmakers now at all 3 levels of their defense. And so it's a game in which the Eagles are likely going to see something different. I think they're doing some unique things with their front. I think they're playing with more physicality and flowing to the football. And there seems to be a belief, whether or not it's contrived or not, but it seems like adding some of those new pieces and getting some of those players healthy is leading them to play some inspired football.
Well, especially when their season was, on the brink, and you could end their season Sunday. Like if they fall to 4-5-1, they fall to 4-6-1. They're not going to gain 3 games on the final wild card team.
No, it's not going to happen.
And I don't think that they're even fooling themselves into believing right now that they're a playoff team. Like I don't feel like they can talk a good game. Mm-hmm. They're looking at the math. It doesn't look good at all.
I will say I saw the video post game in the locker room with Schottenheimer. Like first off, he addresses the Marshawn kneeling with them, and then just he's got that locker room.
Yeah, he does.
I was like, damn, it's actually pretty impressive.
He's got them playing hard for him, even though from our perspective, they don't have a ton to play for.
Right.
They're playing inspired football, and they're a team that they typically play the Eagles well at AT&T Stadium. So I think it's going to be a really good game and probably better than we could have imagined back in week 1, fast-forwarding it to this point.
All right, what do we got on the text line, Connor? It's 610-632-0975. Our main topics that we've been discussing today, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, is he not getting enough credit for his leadership when all this drama that surrounds the Eagles offense right now, he still keeps it the same way every single day, trying to move forward, just wants to talk about, the games moving forward, just wants to win. Is he not getting enough credit for how he handles himself? Because maybe some other quarterbacks, McNabb we use as an example, would not handle himself very well during situations like this. And what other storylines are not being talked about enough? What do we got?
Mike from Aston checks in and says there's no other quarterback I would rather have in the entire NFL. Jalen Hurts is the common denominator for winning everywhere he goes through coaching changes and any type of other troubles.
I would have rather have Mahomes.
I was hoping Mike was going to say something that's not being talked about enough. Nakobe Dean's impact on the defense, but okay.
Well, why don't you answer the question?
Yeah, I would love to.
I mean, we got one, Nakobe Dean's impact.
I would love to. And I think, I've said this many times that he's the heartbeat of the Eagles defense. And it's no mistake that when he was inserted in, when he was back into it, because he was available for the Giants game, but he hadn't had a lot of practice time. So Vic Fangio didn't feel it was appropriate to throw him in there, certainly in the MetLife Stadium. Turf probably played a part in that as well. But he sets the tone. He brings a physicality. He's pretty much like another coach on the field. He's terrific attacking downhill as a blitzer, but also he showed some coverage chops as well. And I think it's, I was in front of his locker for all 15 minutes after the game in which he spoke, and he mentioned the word physicality and playing on their terms on multiple occasions. And he is sort of a stick of TNT. I saw Brian Baldinger put that out on X, and that's how he described him. I think that's an apt description. And I just think that what he says and what he believes, and it doesn't just say it, he lives it on the field. I think that really resonates with a lot of guys.
But he's got no chance to stick around, do you think?
I think it's hard to move off of someone like that, who clearly the defense has some more juice when he's in there.
They could always can they protect him, or does it only they could use him? They could franchise tag him, right?
Something they haven't done since 2008.
They haven't done that, but I'm saying is if they wanted to, because they've spent so much at linebacker.
I think Nakobe, if he continues to play this way, he's going to drum up some interest on the open market.
He is.
I'm sure he is. All right, coming up next, I'm going to have Andrew DeCecco do something that John hates, but it's a pure football mind with no bias. I'm not going to ask you to do power rankings, but you mentioned how the Rams are like the number 1 team, probably next to the Eagles in the NFC. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, if you were to order maybe the top 4, top 5 teams that could really compete with the Eagles come playoff time. Your order of most dangerous to least dangerous. We'll get Andrew DeCecco's thoughts on that coming up next. It's Kincade Salciunas with Andrew DeCecco here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
The best gift is going to come from Benari Jewelers this year.
Here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. By the way, did you guys see the crazy story yesterday about the former Olympian turned drug kingpin?
No.
What? See, this is why today's headlines lacked. I got to. Oh wait, we didn't do it.
Is it on Netflix?
No. This was just announced. Ryan Wedding was a snowboarder for Team Canada. I didn't know Canadians were bad people.
Sounds like he was hitting the slopes.
So Ryan Wedding, he is currently on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list.
What?
So it will be a Netflix.
It will
Yes,
be.
it will be. It's just a
I
matter
can't wait
of
for
time.
that.
Yeah, it's going to be called.
Are you kidding me?
Snow Nose or something.
Really?
But yeah,
Fresh Powder, the story of the Canadian snow.
Right.
Yeah, playing in the snow, the story of Ryan Wedding.
But he 2002 Olympics, he was Team Canada for snowboarding. He's been accused recently of ordering the murder of a witness. It was a violent drug kingpin. I mean, not that there's.
Are there other drug kingpins that are nicer?
Ones. Yeah. What version?
Other than the drugs, he was a really nice guy. No, but yeah, he's on the FBI top 10 most wanted list.
What?
He was indicted by the U.S. government for murder, drugs, and other charges in late 2024. He put a bounty on the head of a witness who was set to testify against him in a case.
Wow, Buddy Ryan put a bounty out right around Thanksgiving.
By the way, that
it never got a Netflix special.
That witness is no longer with us. January 31st, 2025.
The witness, what happened to them? They just disappeared?
They were found shot.
Oh, they were found shot and killed.
Yeah. So this is a crazy story.
Crazy.
So FBI, $15 million reward if you're interested.
I'm gonna, read up on this, man. I'm
I like
really
the story.
I saw it yesterday.
I like uplifting holiday stories.
No, yeah, it's really,
I don't know about
really uplifting.
Well, hey, we could use some scratch. So if he wants to call 610-632-0975, we'll turn him in.
15 mil. All right. So Andrew, everybody knows power rankings and all that kind of stuff, but I'm curious. I want your NFC in terms of most difficult to least difficult opponent that you believe come playoff time. So I don't need you to tell me unless you think the Panthers make the playoffs, but the teams that will make the playoffs as it stands right now, the Lions on the outside looking in, but you can include the Lions if you want, because I think they still make it. So what are your sort of NFC power rankings in terms of the biggest difficulty for the Eagles that could stand in their way?
Yeah, I mean, I just look at it, the Rams being the top, and I have the Eagles second, Seahawks third. I guess I would put, you can never rule out Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield, and they should be getting Mike Evans back later in the season. Todd Bowles and that defense, they just have a way of being able to impact games and critical moments. So I would probably put them there, and then you might say the Lions.
I got 2 hate emails yesterday. Just 2. It was a good day. Where I said yesterday, the Rams are the best team in the NFC. They put the best resume of games together. I don't even think it's a question.
It's not a question. You could look back and say, well, the Eagles beat them in week 3. Well,
2 block kicks in the fourth quarter.
And not only that, they're just a different team right now. They were a young defense then. They're still young, but they're sort of coming of age, I guess you could say. And Matthew Stafford's playing at a really high level really since then.
Amazing how he's.
I remember all the concerns with the back before the season started, and he's been playing just ridiculously well. So you have the Rams at number 1 and the Eagles at number 2. When you see how they played against the Lions, did that change how you felt about Detroit at all?
No, because I think you have to take the weather into it. And the Eagles played really strong defense. And I think if it were played indoors, I still think the Eagles would have played good defense. Do I think the Lions would have scored more than 9 points?
Sure.
Yes, I feel pretty comfortable saying that. But I don't know that you can take too much away from the Lions. Now, they're really banged up at an inopportune time. Sam Laporta, their tight end, who's a big part of their offense, second in targets behind Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's on IR, and their secondary's depleted.
They had 3 guys out in their secondary?
Yeah, I think the only one was Brian Branch, who was available. So you look at all of that, and you say, are they going to be able to navigate these waters in time?
Well, they get the
guys?
Giants this week, and then they get the Packers on the short week. That could be dangerous.
That Thanksgiving?
Yeah, Thanksgiving. Lions-Packers. That's an early game.
Yes.
Yeah,
Lions-Packers is a great game.
Yeah, that could be good night, Irene, for them. So I will see.
What's the Thanksgiving slate?
It is Lions-Packers. That is the first game.
Chiefs
Then
play
you've got
somebody.
Cowboys-Chiefs.
Yeah.
Is the afternoon game.
And both of those teams could be potentially fighting for their lives, depending on what the Chiefs do this Sunday against the Colts.
And then there has to be a AFC game that doesn't
Bengals,
matter anything
Ravens.
to us. That's terrible.
Matters
Bengals
to
are
some.
terrible.
Mr. Raven over there
That's
cares.
terrible.
Mr.
That's a terrible.
Mr.
That's a
Raven
terrible
over
game.
here.
Well,
Matters to me.
It seems like a terrible game. Joe Burrow practiced this week.
Yeah, that was crazy. It just popped up yesterday. Full
the Bengals
participant.
are still done.
Yeah, but seeing Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson is never a nothing.
Yeah, but I will also say this: they're not done in that division, right? The Steelers aren't necessarily running away with it.
Steelers
it's
are 6-4.
Ravens 5-5. Bengals are 3-7. It's a huge hill.
They're not coming back from 3-7.
By the way, one NFC team that I find to be fascinating to watch, I don't think they're quite ready yet to make any kind of headway, It's the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
The Eagles are going to see them on Black Friday. I like what Ben Johnson's doing, and Caleb Williams has had some bright moments. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, by the way, 3 sacks for them.
I know. Big fan of his.
And the Bears started out 1-3, I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I mean, they're rolling or something along those lines.
It's a team that's starting to emerge, but I don't know that they're quite ready yet.
Yeah, where do you think they're at? Like, I said on Monday after they won yet again that they're kind of reminding me of the Commanders last year where they're winning these games by the skin of their teeth, but they're winning games. And you can't take that away from them. That they're 7-3. They're in first place of their division, which the Commanders were in first place right around this time last year, right?
Yes, they were.
And then the Eagles took over.
Schedule's terrible, though.
So they kind of like a Commanders-esque team where they might win a playoff game.
Yeah.
And if a Lions team has 85 injuries, they might beat them.
Yeah, exactly. I think next season would be the one to keep an eye on them for really taking it and taking it up another notch.
Their last 5 games, they played the Packers twice, the Lions once, at the 49ers.
Yeah, they have a tough. I mean,
it's going to be a hard struggle. But the thing is, if they can get a win against the Steelers this week, they're 8. Even if they left Philly with a loss, they're 8-4 going into their last 5. They got a chance to be a playoff team.
Yeah, I love the outlook of their offense with Colston Loveland, their tight end. You look at Roma Dunze, their wide receiver, and they have some pieces there defensively. Jalen Johnson, I've been a huge Jalen Johnson fan, their cornerback since he was drafted. He was a player that I thought should have been a first-round pick. He's, when healthy, one of the best corners in the NFL. But, yeah.
By the way, DeAndre Swift is having a very good season with the Chicago Bears this year. A guy that I thought he got completely overpaid because he got the same money as Saquon, right? Didn't they get very similar contracts? And I was like, that's a bit of a stretch. He's having a good season.
Yeah, he was DeAndre, and I said this when the Eagles traded for him a couple years ago. He was one of my favorite players at that running back position to watch in college.
I love the
dynamic,
move.
shifty, explosive player, and he had a highlight reel for days, man.
It was amazing when they drafted Gibbs. We all thought the same thing. Who's calling Detroit? And it was Howie.
I don't think that the Panthers are going to be anything more than – I do think they're going to end up with a winning record. The Panthers.
I think
so. That's 6-5. But to me, they're the surprise team right now, sort of. The way that they have a nasty schedule the rest of the way out.
They might not finish above 500.
I think they will. I think they'll just make it.
I think they can have a split with the Bucs.
They're 6-5.
They got the Saints. I could see them beating the 49ers on Monday night. The way their defense is playing.
Yeah, their defense is playing really inspired football.
We'll see Monday night. All right, coming up next. Don't forget, we have a special guest coming up at 9:40. I'll tell you who the special guest is.
You got to tell people who it is.
Well, yeah, I just, time.
What are you hiding it for?
All right, I'll tell you who the special guest.
Someone might come back for it.
I'll tell you who the special guest is coming up next. Also, Jordan Davis made history for the Eagles. We'll tell you what. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Keeping an eye on the offensive line, I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles had some injury issues pop up on their first report of the week yesterday. Cam Jurgens currently dealing with a concussion, and Lane Johnson is expected to miss time with the Liz Frank injury. So those are 2 starters on the offensive line that the Eagles could be without on Sunday. So the eyes turn to Fred Johnson, who's been the logical backup for Lane Johnson. And we heard from Jalen Hurts recently about his faith and the faith of the locker room in Fred Johnson.
I have a lot of confidence in Fred. He's a great player. He's shown that, and he's always stepped in and been an anchor for us. So we all have confidence in Fred. I know he'll relish in this opportunity that's ahead of him.
And it's a big opportunity this week, a big divisional matchup down in Dallas against the Cowboys Sunday afternoon. Jordan Davis, the NFC Defensive Player of the Week after his efforts against the Lions. The Sixers lost to the Raptors 121-112 last night, and again, it was a rough third quarter that did them in. They're on the road in Milwaukee tonight, a back-to-back for the Sixers. Tip-off is at 8 p.m. this evening. You can hear that game here on The Fanatic. Flyers host the Blues at 7 p.m. That game on WMMR. Andrew DeCecco remains with the guys for the remainder of the show. This update is brought to you by Philly Sports Strips. Join Philly Sports Strips as the Birds take over Washington on December 20th. Round-trip travel, great seats, and the ultimate game day experience with fellow Eagles fans. Spots are limited. Book now at phillysportstrips.com. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. All right, coming up at 9:45, we will not only have our special guest, Andrew DeCecco, in studio, but we will also have Patrick Warburton in studio.
Yes.
And there's a lot of you that I am sure that off the top of your head, you're trying going, who the hell is Patrick Warburton? You know him.
He's been in
everything.
Almost everything.
Patrick Warburton is Putty from Seinfeld. He's Joe Swanson from Family Guy. He's Crunk from The Emperor's New Groove.
See, I love that.
He's everybody knows his voice.
And you, of course, did not ever watch Rules of Engagement.
I did not watch Rules of Engagement
with his friend David Spade that he did, which went on like 6-7 seasons.
Yeah. But obviously Seinfeld. I mean, Seinfeld's a show that I rewatched just recently.
Yeah, I love that show.
It's a great show. So
I got to ask him, high five?
Yeah,
high five.
You got to do the high five.
You should try to high five him.
Yeah.
And you can speak on this. I am Putty on airplanes.
Yeah, you were Putty on
I
airplanes.
just stare at the back of the seat.
He doesn't do anything.
That's what I do.
What?
That's what I do. I might have to tell him that.
Okay, now the best thing is
you and I. There you go.
I just
Andrew
stare at the back of the seat and gather my thoughts.
That's what I do.
He did it, and it was weird because I said to him, you're going to love being on a plane with me because I don't talk to you. I said, because I don't talk on a plane. So I said, this is And then he did the Putty. I called him on it. I'm like, do you not do anything? Like, do you not read?
Sometimes I read.
And he goes,
sometimes I
read. But you said sometimes reading gives you.
No, I just didn't have a book.
Like you didn't have a book with him, and he
That
just
was it.
sat there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just sit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer it.
You were people watching.
Yeah,
I don't even do that. I just stare at the back of the seat and I wait for it to be over.
I love when he's just
alone with your thoughts.
Yes,
that's
it's
incredible.
Scary. Patrick Warburton joins us in studio coming up at 9:45. What we're going to do at some point, we are going to give away a pair of Sixers tickets. What I did this morning, I grabbed 3 random clips, and Patrick's going to have to tell us from what show or movie that's from. Because when you're somebody that's a voice actor, you've been in so many things. Obviously, we know him as Putty from Seinfeld, but he's been the voice in like 85 different animated series and movies. So I imagine sometimes it's hard to remember everything. And we will have 2 callers on hold. And if he gets all 3 right, one caller will get the Sixers tickets. If he gets one wrong, the other caller will get the Sixers tickets. So we'll do that coming up at 9:45. But we still have some Eagles stuff to take care of business with. How about Jordan Davis making history for the Philadelphia Eagles?
He's been a big fan. If you listen to the podcast, you've been very praiseworthy of Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis, first Eagle in franchise history to win Defensive and Special Teams Player of the Week in the same season. Remember, Special Teams was the block kicks against the Rams. He blocked it, recovered it, scored the touchdown. And then this past week wins Defensive Player of the Week for the NFC. Can you speak on what you've seen differently out of Jordan Davis this year, Andrew? And obviously, they picked up the 5th-year option, so he's also probably thinking about the contract down the road. But what have you seen differently out of Jordan Davis this year from a on-the-field standpoint?
Well, for one, he's played 391 snaps. That's 60% of the Eagles' defensive total, career highs.
Yeah.
And I think when you see him on the field, you notice the impact that he's having, pushing the pocket, getting his hand up, 3 pass deflections, hustling to the football, and just being more of an every down type of player that the Eagles envisioned when they drafted him. And understand that not everybody progresses at the same rate when you draft them, right? It takes time for them to maybe grow into their role or just get better accustomed to what's being asked of them. And they were patient with Jordan Davis, and they doubled down in their belief of Jordan Davis. And this is the vision that the Eagles had when they committed to him and picked up that option, and he's proven them right.
It's been tremendous.
One of our listeners, Garrett, sends along and he says, please mention Patrick's one of his most famous roles on Soarin' Around the World.
Oh, that's right, dude.
He is the flight attendant on Soarin'.
That's right.
If you go to Disney World.
In Epcot.
And Disneyland.
Oh,
he's awesome.
I didn't know that.
Oh, he's awesome.
That one is not one of the 3 clips, I can tell you that. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, A. Beasley, Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities.
Time now for the Kincade Salciunas Re-Rack.
No matter how... So, the reason why I bring that up is, look, it is there, though, right? Like, there is drama. And I want to give somebody a ton of freaking credit that I think is not getting any credit for it at all. And it's how Jalen Hurts is handling it. And the reason why I say that, I love McNabb. I know you do too.
I'm a huge was my favorite Eagle, pretty much. Now that's changing as a new era has come.
How would Donovan McNabb be handling what's going on right now in the locker room?
Terrible. Terrible. Number 5 will always love you. No, terribly. I should say terribly would be proper. Yeah, he'd be handling it terribly because he would look upon himself as being victimized.
Exactly.
And it would become dark cloud, woe is me, why me? Because the one thing, and I love McNabb. Like
I do too.
But to
number
me,
5 will always love you.
But to me, McNabb was always the victim.
And you know that
he was always the victim.
And look, we actually have documented a wide receiver being upset with the quarterback, and it kind of blowing up to the point where the wide receiver is doing sit-ups in his driveway. It blew up pretty big, right?
Correct.
Jalen Hurts, I do not believe, is getting enough credit for how he is handling himself during all of this. So yesterday he had his midweek media availability, and I don't know how much I believe in terms of him not knowing any of the reports. I think he's somebody that probably knows things. But
that's a lie. Knowing the Eagles PR staff and knowing how the job that they do, that is a bunch of garbage.
Right.
He knows exactly what he might have thrown on.
Yeah, he said yesterday.
Now, that doesn't mean he's obsessing on it.
Right.
Or
right.
I do believe from his Alabama days, he avoids it.
Sure, as much as he can.
But he still hears it.
And as much as the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles can, right? Like, he's not the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. He's the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's not just here locally, it's nationally. He's talked about every single day on ESPN or whatever network that you pay attention to nationally. And he just continues to keep on moving forward. So yesterday, he was asked if he heard about the report. So the report over the weekend, it started with Diana Rossini, talking about that there are people inside NovaCare that have been frustrated with the way the quarterback has been playing, right? And then Derek Gunn had his reports. And then we had Jeff McClain on earlier this week that kind of said it's there, but it's not as dramatic as what some people may be making it out to be. So here was Jalen Hurts yesterday being asked about the report, and then there's a follow-up question about whether or not this sort of drama just comes with the territory of being a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, there was a report over the weekend that there's some frustration building in the locker room with your approach. How do you kind of digest that, and what's sort of your reaction to it?
Just go to work every day. And continue to go out there and try and do my best.
Being in the position you are as a starting quarterback in this league, does that kind of come with the territory? And how do you learn to deal with it?
I think it definitely does. And, I take a lot of the responsibility when things are going. I guess I get a lot of attention when things are going well and when things are not going so well. And so I never run away from holding myself accountable. And I think that's exactly what I've taken the approach of doing. When I look at this last game, I take great pride in what we do on offense. I take great pride in how we go out there and play as a team and what our flow is. And so we obviously got work to do, and I think that obviously starts with me. That's always my approach. That's always me looking internally first in everything that we do, and then in due time rising above.
I loved the answer.
I loved it too, even though a lot of it is, packaged.
No, I know.
It's not like he's not being blunt. How he would really speak if the microphones were off and everything.
Sure,
but I admire that so damn much.
Because here's the deal: if he did just speak it the way if the microphones were off, then
it adds to the
number one
fight.
headline. And is Jalen Hurts upset with the Philadelphia Eagles?
I love the fact that Jalen Hurts says. He talks the talk and walks the walk. He's about the team. Like now, the whole A.J. Brown thing has changed. A.J. Brown's initial gripes were on his stats, his touches, being ignored as a player, not getting listened to, not getting what he wanted. And then it became, well, I'm all about winning. It's all about winning. When all of his messaging was singular about himself, me, well, look at me. Jalen Hurts is exactly the opposite. And by the way, he's been that way since the first time I interviewed him in college at SEC Media Day.
Right. Now, look,
he's incredible. He's different.
He has had his share of bad leadership.
No, we talked about
past, right?
We talked about it. And he got called out about it.
He did by his teammates. So
correct.
the fact that that has happened in the past, that's in the past. He has learned from it. He has grown from it. And this week, he has had every opportunity, not that he would want to, but he has had every opportunity from a human element to add fuel to the fire. But he is doing whatever he can to just put it to bed or to say, yeah, sure, I do have share of the blame. I am the quarterback of the freaking Philadelphia Eagles that have scored 26 total points over the last 2 weeks and is one of the worst-ranked offenses in the NFL, or at least a bottom-half offense in the NFL, and we are the defending Super Bowl champions. I will take that ownership. But his leadership qualities is something that I don't think is being talked about enough, especially during these last 2 weeks where there have been more and more just crap that's being thrown around about Jalen Hurts.
Look, we couldn't be – this is weird because I guarantee you that Connor's going to pretty much agree with this, correct?
Yeah, I got no issue with what you're saying.
We rarely look at things all through the same prism where we just see it all. We're hearing it the same way. We're seeing it the same way. I wonder if the listeners feel that.
Well, and I'm curious.
And that's the question, because I think a lot of people are going to look at it differently. They're going to look at it as that's just Jalen Hurts BS.
Well, then let's hear from the people. 610-632-0975. You know that number. You can call in or you can text in. We also got the text line. When you hear Jalen Hurts say what he just had to say about the territory of being the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles and all the reports and him just trying to keep on moving forward, do you buy it? And how does that make you feel? Like, to me, I feel great this morning. I felt great last night when I heard the clip. But I also want to have a secondary topic off of this. Because, look, we see you every single day on our YouTube or on Twitter. Hey, isn't there anything else to talk about? Well, some days there aren't. Some days the drama is what is the number one story that anybody in the world would talk about. If there is a storyline that you believe is not being talked about enough, what is it? Because this team is 8-2. This team is the number one seed in the NFC. This team will be playing a high-powered offense in the Dallas Cowboys coming up Sunday, but you feel great about the defense that has shut down the Lions and the Packers. What storylines do you believe are not being talked about enough, if at all? You can answer that as well at 610-632-0975. Now, coming up next, hear more from Jalen Hurts because he gave one of my favorite answers he's ever given because it was real. It has some of Hurts being Hurts.
It is.
But it shows how he tries to deal with the noise that is currently surrounding NovaCare. It is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Andrew DeCecco with us in studio. Don't forget, Patrick Warburton's going to be joining us coming up at 9:45. That'll also be when you have a chance to win a pair of Sixers tickets for next Sunday's game against the Atlanta Hawks, November 30th at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now via Sixers.com. So our topic today, does Jalen Hurts get enough credit for being the leader that he is? We always talk about Hurts and how the offense looks and stats and all that kind of stuff. But when you hear all the drama that's surrounding the Eagles recently, we have seen quarterbacks not handle that well. We've seen it in this city. Quarterbacks not handle the drama well. Donovan McNabb, so much so that behind the microphone, he didn't handle himself very well. Carson Wentz to the point where he was no longer here afterward. Not so much behind a microphone, but there was a lot of stories about Wentz. So is Jalen Hurts getting enough credit? Yesterday, he was asked if he's surprised by maybe some of the backlash, not by his teammates, but just by the way people cover the league and the way they talk about quarterback play, and this was his response.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by anything. I mean, this is kind of the nature of the position, like I said. But, I put my energy and I put my focus on trying to go out there and do my best and trying to learn, trying to build, trying to take in the things that I can to improve. And so, I've said this before about winning and success and all those things. Like, that doesn't do you anything in the present. It's only an experience that you can lean on as you go forward. And so, you lean on all those successes. You lean on all the trials. You lean on all the different things that you've experienced. You use them. Ultimately, it's about how you navigate what's in front of you and how you respond to these things. And so I think the response is more important than anything. It's about pushing forward, about finding ways to grow. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be something. There's always unknown. There's always another dynamic to a situation. Ultimately, it's about growth. I mean, that's why we play the game. That's why I play the game. That's why I play the position. I play the position to learn. I play the game because I love what it teaches you. And there's beauty in all of these lessons. And I think, all of the lessons that it's taught us in the past has brought us great success. And so I think lessons to be learned right now and where we are, we only go forward.
I know we've had a couple texts today of people just saying Jalen and the robotic answers and stuff like that. I thought that was real. I thought that was
I think it's how he lives.
I'm a human. I understand there's things that are said about me. I'm going to do whatever I can to keep pushing forward. I love what I heard at Jalen Hurts yesterday.
Yeah, and I had a conversation with someone last week that authenticity is the key ingredient to being a leader. And I do get the sense that he's authentic. I don't think anything that he does is performative. And look, there's different types of leaders. There's authoritative leaders where you're kind of the take charge in the battle. You can have the knowledge-based type of leaders where they're mastering in X's and O's. And then you could have those who lead by example. And I think that's Jalen Hurts.
Love that answer. Love that answer from you. Because I think there's a lot of critique that goes to Jalen Hurts. I've had enough of it this week. And every single day I've had something where I've been like, I've just heard enough of it.
Look, I think some of his critique of his play is fair.
I get that. He's the winningest quarterback over 50 starts in NFL history since 1950 against winning teams. I can't.
He needs to play better, though.
No, I know. Yeah. I got you. But the thing is, he's a winning quarterback. He finds enough ways to win. And unlike, when I look at Andrew and Connor, I lived through crap in this city for the most important team in town, the football team. And I lived through crap for so long. I waited my whole life for a guy to come in here and do this.
Well, a lot of people did as well.
That's what I'm saying but it's like I've waited my whole life to see this. And I think there's been a lot of you cannot take aside the winningest quarterback versus winning teams since 1950.
No, there's something to be said for the track record of success under Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. This is the style of football that they play. They believe in it with conviction, and it's kind of hard to argue it. Look, they've altered the way that they play football, really coming out of the bye week last year, and they've taken it upon themselves to protect the football, take calculated deep shots, and play complementary football, which of course is on the defensive side.
I got a question for both of you and for Connor. Do you ever believe, because I have a friend who insists that Doug Peterson was the visionary who saw Jalen Hurts, who saw the potential, and he said if the Eagles hadn't gotten rid of Doug Peterson and Doug Peterson got to have Jalen Hurts as his quarterback, they would have had the same success. I don't believe that for a second.
I don't. I do not.
I don't just because.
Why, though? Tell me why.
Well,
because
I thought it was more than just X's and O's that is why he's not here anymore. And in conversation,
You think culture? Or you think what?
In conversations with people, there was a disconnect between the head coach and the front office. A major,
and also
which wouldn't work.
Yeah,
and also Doug Peterson's scheme, his ideologies and philosophies don't match that of Nick Sirianni. And Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are a perfect marriage in the sense that they see the game the same way, and they kind of have that same style. And I think that there's something to be said for that. It's a perfect pairing. Whereas Doug Peterson, if he has a scheme that differs from, I guess, what the Eagles are playing right now, I don't know if they would have the same success. You might see greater numbers and stats and all that, but I don't know if they'd be winning at the same clip.
Now let me ask you something. We all agree Hurts needs to play better. Everybody.
Okay, everybody's on the same page.
I'm curious, what is it about his game that you think needs to improve most right now that will, if he does this thing differently, the offense looks a lot better?
Well, let's look at what he does exceptionally. He's great in the fourth quarter. He has mental toughness and the ability to galvanize teammates. And when the lights are brightest, he plays the best. Yeah. But there are other areas of his game that you'd like to see. Like the ball needs to come out faster. When he goes to his right, when he's working to his right, it's not always a play that leads to a lot of success in the past. And I just think that when you see it, you got to throw it with anticipation because there are plays to be made. But if you are a hair off, all of a sudden, it looks disjointed. And I think there's a lot of times, and I'm not talking about the snapshots, because anybody can take a snapshot of a play and put it on social media and say, this player's open.
Right.
But you don't know his progressions. You don't know what the call is. And he has a lot of things that he's working through. But there are times where, watching it from a press box, where you have the all-22 type of view, you can see plays developing. And I think there are times where he holds the ball a little longer than he probably should.
And by the way, A.J. Brown did come to his defense about the screenshots on social media a couple of weeks ago when he spoke to the media. All right, coming up next, have we ever thought about just how good Quinyon Mitchell is? We all know he's good. But how good can he be? John has numbers. I know DeCecco has the eyes. Just how good can Quinyon Mitchell be? Because what he has done in a year and a half of an NFL career is pretty freaking good. It's Kincade and Salciunas with Andrew DeCecco. Remainder of the show here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Some injury issues on the O-line. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles had some issues pop up on their first injury report of the week that came out yesterday. Cam Jurgens is currently dealing with a concussion, putting his status for Sunday in question. Lane Johnson, he was out of practice yesterday. He's expected to be out for a couple of weeks with a Liz Frank injury. So there's going to be some need on the offensive line, and the guy that's been filling that need when Lane Johnson goes down is Fred Johnson. No relation, but he's been playing pretty darn well, all things considered. What's the faith level in Fred Johnson? Nick Sirianni talked about it yesterday.
I have a lot of faith in the guys, with Fred, through the length of the seasons that we've had the past 4 years, we need all hands on deck. So we've had a lot of guys play, so a lot of experience doing that, not just with Lane, but with every position.
Jordan Davis heads into Sunday's matchup as the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. So the Eagles do bring plenty of talent into a big divisional matchup with the Cowboys on Sunday. Sixers lost to the Raptors 121-112 last night. It was another rough third quarter for the Sixers. They've got to figure out those issues there. The Sixers are on the road in Milwaukee tonight on the back end of their back-to-back. Tip-offs at 8. You can hear that game on the Fanatic. Flyers host the Blues at 7 p.m. That game on WMMR. This update is brought to you by Groundworks, your trained and certified experts for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
97.5 The Fanatic. Our man Andrew DeCecco with us for the remainder of the show. Patrick Warburn's going to be joining us in studio coming up at 9:45, and we'll also play a game for your chance to win a pair of Sixers tickets when the Sixers battle the Hawks on Sunday, November 30th. We do have a game tonight, Thursday Night Football, so the next NFL week continues, and it's the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. Bills just 5.5-point favorites. I know it's on the road in
It's
Houston.
suspicious as hell.
But it's
That line is suspicious.
The Davis Mills show in Houston again. 5.5. You know what's another telling line? Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites against the Colts. Vegas is telling you it's the Chiefs. That is a Chiefs line. The fact that they are, 5-5. They just lost last week to Denver, and the Colts are coming off of the bye. Now, as we've talked about a few times on the show, look at the games the Colts have played against more respected opponents. They've either lost or they've been a lot tighter.
Yes.
So we'll see. That's a Kansas City line, 3.5-point favorites.
Colts are arguably have played the most complete football in the NFL.
Yeah, but what is Vegas telling you if there are three? If the Chiefs are, I'm not saying go Chiefs.
I think they're trying to tell you that. I think the sucker bet is to lay the points with the Chiefs.
I agree.
Right?
I think the sucker bet is there telling you, especially with the hook.
Yeah, the half.
Is telling you, take the Chiefs. Chiefs need this game. They're 5-5. Maybe the Chiefs aren't that good.
Could be.
I like the Colts this year, man.
Yeah,
I like
Jonathan
watching them
Taylor.
play.
They're a physical offensive line. Sauce Gardner added to the equation there to kind of boost that defense. I think they're going to make some noise in the postseason.
That was a great trade because he's under contract for 4 more years after this season?
Something
Sauce
like
Gardner? So, all right, you gave up 2 first-round picks for a legit cornerback.
They're hard to find.
Right. Like,
I don't know that I would give up 2 first-round picks for a cornerback.
I would because of the positional value. Cornerback and a young edge rusher, I think you make an exception for.
Here's how I look at it. You would use one to try to find Sauce Gardner in the draft, right?
No question.
You would use a first-round pick to try to get him. You also now know that he is a proven commodity because he's now backed it up in the NFL.
And there's no startup cost that you have to worry
So you're
about.
just paying an extra
He's,
first.
ready to go.
And they're in win-now mode. Like, who knows who the Colts are next year? Like, this is a good time for them to strike. Now, speaking of tremendous corners, we all know Quinyon Mitchell is pretty good. Just how good is he? You have some numbers, Johnny, but after you give the numbers, Andrew, I want you to talk about just how good this guy can be, considering he's only in his second year of his career.
Okay, Brendan D, good job with this. It caught my eye so much. And then they did I think it caught the eye of some people at the NFL Network, too, because they had a little thing on it, too. That last year, his entire snaps were on the right side of the field. And this year, 52% on the left, 48% on the right. It's incredible to me. And his 41.9% completion percentage allowed this season is the lowest by any player since 2018.
Yeah, I mean, he erases every side of the field that he's on. Yeah. He's proven that he can travel. He's being trusted to travel. And I like his physicality and willingness to come up and run support. You don't often see cover corners like that be willing to go up there and make those physical plays. He's also a little handsy, but he does it in a way where it's almost a veteran savvy, where he knows how officials are going to call it. And you're starting to see him get the benefit of the doubt with those calls. And I think that speaks volumes to his reputation that he already has, not even 2 years in the league.
Just how good do you think he's going to get? Because, if you talk to somebody...
How much better can he get?
Right.
If it's the best season in 8 years.
Yeah, I don't know how much better he can get. I already view him up there with Pat Surtain of the Denver Broncos as the elite of the elite right now, and he's only going to get better, which is really crazy to think. I mean, the Eagles really landed that pick, and I know that there was maybe some deliberation from those on the outside. Should it be Terrion Arnold, who, of course, was drafted by the Lions, and he went to Alabama? Ironically enough, Quinyon Mitchell could have went to Alabama, but he opted to stay loyal to the Toledo program, which is commendable. But they drafted him, and the Eagles saw it in him, and he quickly got off to a fast start.
Connor, you were a big Kool-Aid McKinstry guy.
I was.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what he's doing these days.
Yeah,
not, oh, no.
You were all Kool-Aided up.
Yeah. If you've never heard the story told by Nick Saban about how great, absolutely great, he loved Quinyon Mitchell and how he tried to lure him to Alabama.
Yeah.
It's a great story, and Quinyon didn't budge. For Nick Saban,
He believed in himself, the program, and his talent, and that overcame everything. And now you're seeing him sort of morph into, well, I don't even want to say morph. It didn't take long for him to establish himself as a top-tier corner.
And look, think about it. Earlier this year, they had no pass rush. So he was locked down literally on an island by himself. And now they have Jalen Phillips, and now Nakobe Dean's back, and now you see some other guys taking their game to the next level.
Nolan Smith, J-Wix Hunt probably had his best game as a pro Sunday night. Yeah,
like there's less time for quarterbacks to throw. So Quinyon, maybe we see a Quinyon Mitchell interception at some point.
And Howie Roseman has spoken on the record of how much influential Nick Sirianni was in getting him here because of, I guess, his buddy coached him or something like that. That Nick Sirianni was the one who was really putting the, hey, look, we got to be looking at this kid. This is the one. Let's really.
Yeah, I believe the
he was
name
a top
you're looking
candidate
for,
anyway.
Yeah, I believe the name you're looking for is Jason Candle.
Okay.
And, yeah, there's familiarity there. But, yeah, Quinyon Mitchell also has this competitiveness to him where he may not be one of many words, but he is an absolute competitor. He plays with an edge. And every teammate that I've talked to, whenever you ask what's the dynamic like in the defensive back room or anything like that, or who's the biggest character, they all say Quinyon Mitchell. They say, you guys don't necessarily get to see that version, but they said he's hilarious.
I still give James Bradbury a lot of credit. That was the best defensive play James Bradbury made last year was
keeping Quinyon away from the mics.
Quinyon was on a microphone, and he was like, yeah, no, we're gonna escort him away from that. How does my brain work? You say Jason Candle. Where does my brain go?
I don't know.
Yankee
How am I
Candles?
supposed to know?
Jason Kendall?
Jason Kendall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
the catcher, yeah.
Former Pittsburgh Pirate, Brewers. He bounced around a little bit.
You need to not be alone with your thoughts on an airplane.
He needed to slip in a salad. He would have been a more productive player. Could have slipped in.
Jason Kendall?
Yeah, he could have slipped in a salad.
Dude, he's $180.
I know. He could have still slipped in a salad.
No, he was a twig. Jason Kendall was not a. Jason Kendall was one of the fastest catchers. He was still swiping bags left and right.
He was a little dude, right?
What are you going to say next? Brian Schneider? Yeah.
Who is it? Wait a minute. Who else?
Jorge Posada.
Who's the other catcher you always talk about? Chris Coast.
Paul LaDuca, Chris Coast.
Chris Coast.
Yeah.
He has
Pudge Rodriguez, although he's not as...
Don't get him going because he will have a list.
I love backup catchers.
He loves backup catchers.
They're important. The way you love Cam Latu, I like backup catchers.
What do you mean? Andrew Knapp, you wanted him.
No, I hate bad backup catchers. Okay? There's a difference. If a backup catcher cannot play above average hitting or fielding, you stink. You have to be good at one of those two things, and that's why I didn't like Andrew Knapp.
You like Rod Barajas?
Barajas, yeah, man. A guy could swing it a little bit. That was against the Philly at one point with our man Dylan McKinnon.
You should have been on, God rest his soul, you should have been on Stump the Schwab for some of this stuff.
How about Todd Pratt had some game winners.
Todd Pratt, one game winner so specific. I wonder how many people had this. There were beer bottle openers from back in the day that when you opened the beer bottle, it would trigger a sound. And there was a Phillies one, and it was a Todd Pratt walk-off home run.
That's awesome. And
while
we're on that subject, there was once a game that I think went like 16 or 17 innings that same season where Todd Pratt had the walk-off. And you know who hit that walk-off home run? Jason Michaels.
That's good work by you, Jason Michaels.
Good.
Jason Michaels accidentally knocked the ball over the fence once. It was a home run. You guys remember that?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, see, that's some good Phillies knowledge.
Okay. Got to reel you in.
You want one more trivia question from back in those days?
Sure.
Who caught the final out and had the lone home run for the Phillies when Kevin Millwood threw his no-hitter?
Was that Doug Lamville?
Nope.
Kenny Lofton?
Nope.
Ricky Leday?
Ricky Leday, yes.
Wow. I'm trying to find you the Todd Pratt bottle opener,
dude,
on the web.
Well,
I'm trying to find
Hold on. I already found it and bought it for my dad 2 years ago.
No, I'm trying to find one for you.
I was at a random thrift store and I found it.
No, I'm looking for one right now for you.
Oh, yeah.
That's
the Todd Pratt bottle opener. YouTube. Did any of you have it? I need to know how many people had the Todd Pratt bottle opener.
Believe it or not, this has not been on the list of things we're not talking about enough when it comes to the Eagles.
I want to know. Text in, YouTube in. Did you have the Phillies bottle opener where it was Scott Graham on the call? It was a walk-off home run for Todd Pratt. All right, coming up next. We got to get Andrew's prediction for Sunday's game against the Dallas Cowboys. We'll also be joined in studio by Patrick Warburton. So what we're going to do now.
We got ripped last week, by the way. We didn't get his prediction before the Lions game.
That's because I already knew he thought the
Who
Eagles
ripped you?
No, people responding, going, "Where was this prediction?" Because they want your prediction.
Well, he thought
they've heard Andrew's picks this year, and they're a little weary.
He thought the Eagles were going to win 16-9.
Yep.
And he was spot on about it.
Not quite, yeah.
All right, so we'll get his prediction. We have Patrick Warburton coming in studio coming up next segment as well, and we'll have people line up for the chance to win the Sixers tickets. I'll tell you when. Not yet, but I'll tell you when. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
I know this, that the consultants in medical oncology and hematology are there for you when you need them most. If you get a cancer diagnosis in your family, in your friend group, maybe a coworker, I want you to tell them to visit CMOH. Consultants in medical oncology and hematology have 3 offices in the area, and they're an independent practice. So no matter what kind of insurance plan you're working with, no matter what kind of healthcare system you've been initially diagnosed by, you're going to find great cancer care for you from a really compassionate group of doctors and nurses and staff. I can tell you it's the 3-headed monster. They take such great care of you because the doctors, well, they're going to be the ones that are going to quarterback your care. The nurses are going to help carry it out. And the staff, well, they're second to none. I love these people like family. And every time I go back to see them, I always feel like I have to visit because at the worst time in your life, you want compassionate care and you want the best care possible. I'm telling you right now, CMOH is where you got to go. They work with anyone. So check them on out, cmoh.org, and you can take the first step towards peace of mind in your cancer battle.
.5 The Fanatic. We're going to be joined in studio momentarily by Patrick Warburton. They got Zootopia 2 is coming out next week. And he's one of the voices in Zootopia 2.
Do you remember the first one? Have you watched it with
Coop? Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the movies that made the rotation.
It's got the sloth, right? The sloth lady at the DMV.
Yeah, but that made there's Sloth Man, by the way.
Yeah, and Agent Judy Hopps.
Is it a man?
Yeah, so it is a man.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
The rabbit's the lady, Judy Hopps.
Oh, the rabbit's the lady.
Yeah, Judy Hopps. Why do you know these?
What?
Yeah, why do you? Yeah,
I've seen Zootopia.
You're pretty good with your
It works for anybody.
cartoon knowledge.
Anybody can watch it.
Zootopia would be a little old for you.
Anybody
just randomly
little
on TV
new. I mean, a little
sometimes.
young for you. I would think.
Anybody can watch Zootopia. It's fine.
It's awesome.
yeah. Don't worry about it, Connor. That's not too embarrassing.
All right, so we got Eagles Cowboys this
How has
Sunday.
some woman not grabbed him yet?
I would like to know how you think this game plays out. Now, you have hinted a few times that you think the defense for the Cowboys will look different and slightly better this Sunday against the Eagles, but you've also said they're not the Packers or the Lions. So how does this game play out in your mind on Sunday, Mr. DeCecco and DeCecadamas?
Well, I think the two X factors for Dallas defensively are going to be Quinnen Williams, who's going to be at the heart of that defensive line, could be seeing a new center this week in Brett Toth. And Donovan Ezaraku is a player who I talked a lot about with you guys before the draft, Boston College kid. He's now taken on a much larger role defensively than he has in week one. So I say that because the Eagles are going to have two different pieces on the offensive line, and that could add a different wrinkle. But I ultimately think the Eagles are going to find a way to bog down Dak Prescott with this defense. They're going to continue to build on that. And who knows? I think it's going to be a back-and-forth game, but the Eagles are going to make more stops than Dallas and be able to win this one. We'll say, I'm going to say 27-17.
So a 17-point game for the Cowboys means this Eagles defense is freaking ready.
They're balling out
Legitimate,
at that point,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because that's I mean, look, say what we want about the Cowboys. People like to make jokes about Dak Prescott. Like, that's a good offense.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Look,
Dak's good.
Around here, I know a lot of folks want to, pour cold water on it and take shots at Dallas Cowboys. I see it differently, obviously, as a reporter. But Dak Prescott's playing great football right now. And some of those pieces on defense, I'm telling you, keep an eye on that. They're a little bit of a different team than when they last played the Eagles.
So last time they played, remember the Lightning
delay
that delayed the second half. I've been wanting to ask you this question.
Yeah.
Knowing what we have now known since then, can we still use the Lightning delay as the excuse?
I don't think you can.
Because I thought
it was terrible.
For like 3 weeks, I was like, look, they were moving the ball. Both teams were. They were both moving the ball. The Lightning delay happened. You know how difficult it is for a player to warm back up, not only for the second half of a game, but technically a third stoppage. And now all of a sudden you're trying to get ready for the game again. I thought that was a legitimate excuse to make for the Eagles and Cowboys offenses. But now that we know more,
scrap that one.
Yeah, scrap
that one.
It should have been scrapped the day after.
No, not that early. They're the defending Super Bowl champions.
When both teams have to deal with something.
Yeah, and what did the Cowboys do
Then to
afterward?
me, yeah, but the thing is,
they didn't really do much either. I think week one, you don't quite know what to make of either team. So it's fair to use that as, well, maybe that Lightning, impacted the particularly from a defensive standpoint, impacted what they were able to do. And that long layoff alters how you go into warm-ups and approach everything.
It lasted a few weeks because you had the Chiefs game you understood, right? Like that was a damn fight between those two teams. And then the Rams, you're like, well, what the hell was this first half? But then the second half, they turned it up. But probably week 4 is when that Lightning delay excuse kind of goes out the window a little bit.
Yeah, but then we got the Heat, and that bought us a couple weeks.
That's right, then the Heat. Yeah,
Well,
but they went down early.
I remember 4-0, then 0-2, then 4-0 again. So
it's amazing.
It's been a good
They're 8-2, the most confusing 8-2 team in the world.
ever.
All right, what do we got in the text line, Connor? It's 610-632-0975.
All right, so we have people checking in on something that is not being talked about enough. So this texter says that they don't think we're talking enough about Jeff Stoutland. And could he be getting more responsibility or blame for the offensive line issues this year?
Well, you're not going to blame them if they're not healthy.
Right.
I think Jeff Stoutland has proven and deserves the benefit of the doubt, being one of the best position coaches this game has ever seen from an offensive line standpoint. And he's also done a really nice job of working with some of the backups who you're going to see on Sunday, like Brett Toth, who's done an admirable job when pressed into service. Fred Johnson, now that trade looks all the more savvy from Howie Roseman, and he's done a nice job when his number has been called. So, I think he deserves a lot of credit.
Okay, here's where I'm going to lose my mind, though, on that one when you said the trade is so savvy. How did Howie Roseman let him walk out the door? For
He wanted
peanuts?
to be a starter.
I get the thing though is that you do not the amount of money he made, they could have afforded. I know he wanted to be a starter.
It's funny you say that, John, because I wrote a story after he parted, and I said that that's going to prove to be a loss that's going to come back to haunt the Eagles. And I know a lot of the comments were like, "Oh, you're making too much of it," and he's back.
He's back. All right, I need 2 people to call in now. It's 610-632-0975. Caller number 1 and caller number 2. That's all we need. 610-632-0975. And then I'll explain what we're doing in a little bit, because joining us now in studio to promote Zootopia 2. As I said to you and John and Andrew, Zootopia, it reached the cycle with my 3.5-year-old son. Where
my 21-year-old loved Zootopia.
But when when the kid is there, you watch the same movie like 5 times in 1 week. So Zootopia 1 was a great movie, and I can't wait for Zootopia 2, where we get to hear Wind Dancer.
Yes.
What's up, Patrick Warburton? How you doing?
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah, Zootopia 2 is better than Zootopia 1. It is.
Why? Because the addition of Patrick Warburton?
I'm just saying, I didn't see Zootopia, so I'm just guessing.
You didn't want to, as an
guessing.
actor, you didn't want to get
No, listen,
influenced?
I probably maybe should, but I'm a new character anyway, so it just doesn't matter, really. I'm one of those guys that just read my shit. It's really fantastic. We saw it, so now I'm seeing, I've been on the road, so I will see Zootopia, the first one, when I get home on my Disney app.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Can I get something out, though, as we are a sports station?
Yeah.
Are you a Giants fan or a Jets fan? Because you went to California, you were raised in California, but you were Patterson, New Jersey's the roots. So I figured maybe your father influenced you as far as a football fan.
Okay, yeah, and I grew up in Huntington Beach, and so he really did not that way. Dug the Giants, I really enjoyed those Eli years, although Eli could he went hot and cold, but he was hot. He was hot when he was hot when it was important. Yeah, I love Philly because I've always been kind of a Dallas Cowboys here, and then I knew that I had really good feelings about Philly in the Super Bowl last year because Philly was such a physical team, and Kansas City just kind of skated in there with a lot of calls going their way, and I just knew that Philly was going to beat them up, and that was really fun to watch. I love football. I lived in a city without a team for 2 decades, Los Angeles. So teams I love and then teams that I don't like. So I like Buffalo. I like the Giants. I like to see Philly. Those have been my teams. I'm rooting for the Rams again. When the Rams left to St. Louis, they became the Lambs to us. And then when they came back, we're like, all right, we're going to get back on the Rams bandwagon a little bit. They're looking pretty good this year. Stafford, like 17th year in the league, and he's having one of his best years.
Yeah, he's tremendous.
Yeah. Probably in the running to be MVP of the league right
now.
Yeah. But I have to tell you, because I've often drawn comparisons to your character, David Puddy in Seinfeld, in the sense that when I'm on an airplane, I just stare straight ahead.
He does too.
You do it? You guys are raw doggers?
Yes, we are raw doggers.
Wow.
I don't really like flying, so I feel like if I just sit there still, the plane won't go down. Like that I help by doing that.
I don't even look at it in those terms. I look at it as I'm just looking straight, I'm gathering my thoughts, and I'm just waiting for it to be over.
Boy, I wish I could do that. I'm not that comfortable up here in my head alone. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why you watch Zootopia 1 when you're on your next flight before you watch the premiere of Zootopia 2, which releases on November 26th.
And you have not seen it yet.
I have seen the Zootopia.
Oh, you've seen
it?
Okay.
We actually had the world premiere at the El Cap there in Hollywood. Closed down Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah, it was huge.
Now,
That's cool.
when you do these movies, do you actually see the cast, the rest of the cast? Because I know that they tend to record spots and lines. You always see these about these movies.
No, we record individually.
Everybody,
yes.
okay, so they're all individual. So you're not even feeling till the movie premiere. Is that where you're all getting to hang out?
Yeah.
What was the recording process like for you? How long did it take you to record all of your parts?
Not a lot, and and I didn't even get involved until I think a little over a year ago. Like when we did The Emperor's New Groove, that was a 4-year process, and they've kind of streamlined it a bit here. I know that they had spent more time, with this film than just a little over a year, but that's when I got involved. Yeah.
Do you get residuals on Emperor's New Groove cartoons and stuff like that?
Yeah.
When you do voiceovers, because I don't know if it's the same as acting on a TV series.
It's not, and I don't really look at, I mean, I'm not sure what's rolling in on that, but I think, perhaps something is coming in on that,
You're paying the bills.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I know those Seinfeld residuals are great. When I did Seinfeld, I made $3,500 an episode.
That's awesome.
That's it, you know? Everything, I got rich on that. And by the way, I wasn't going to negotiate for more because he just wanted to be on the show, you know? So I just tell my agents, stay away. We're going to try to muscle it out to $5,000 an episode. It's like, it's just important to be on the show. So just leave them alone. They want to call me back.
What do you like most? Animation, obviously on set, whether it's a TV, movie. What's your favorite kind of style of work to do?
Different styles for different reasons. I love doing the animation, especially when you're working with Disney, because there's so many artists involved, and it's great. It doesn't take that long to lend your voice, and at the end you get to see the compilation of so many artists and so much work that's been done, and see it all come together. So that's really fun. I didn't get into the biz to do voiceover work. That just kind of sort of became like a happy accident.
Sure.
And, shortly after Seinfeld, I had some opportunities. I expressed an interest, and that's when I started doing things like Family Guy, The Emperor's New Groove, and I did the voice of Buzz Lightyear of Star Command because Tim Allen wasn't going to do it, and I got offered that, and I knew exactly right off the bat I'd be the poor man's Buzz, but I didn't care.
Have you ever met somebody that was a bigger fan of Jeff Bingham?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Then even Putty was great.
Yeah,
but to me, Jeff Bingham, and I've tried to tell him numerous times.
Yeah, you have.
Watch Rules of Engagement.
Yeah,
I think it is funny. And when Timmy came onto that show, to me, the show took off.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was that added element to that show.
For sitcoms, it was a great sitcom. There's only 100 episodes because we were mid-season every year.
You always did. Why was that?
Because the network didn't own the show. So the network's going to promote the shows they own. So we were mid-season every year. And so we were never on the schedule. They would just drop us in when, one of their new shows would, the bed, as they say. And so we were like an insurance policy. At the end of 7 years of that, they had 100, goes into syndication, and it's killed in syndication. But it's a show that should have 200 episodes.
It is a great show.
All right, so we got 2 minutes left. Don't forget, Zootopia 2 releases on November 26th. We have a game to play with you.
Yeah, all right.
And you're either going to make
you're going to do well.
You're either going to make Colin happy or Joe happy. We have two callers that are on hold. Colin will win if you get all three right.
Okay.
Joe will win if you get even one wrong. We have 3 clips of yours. You have to tell us what it's from. Because as a man that's worked in so many different shows, whether it's animation or movies or on set, I would imagine sometimes you forget maybe some of the work that you've done or the lines that you said.
He says he's not good up here.
Yeah. No, this doesn't,
So if you get all
ADHD.
3 right, Colin wins.
Yeah.
If you get 1 wrong, Joe wins. Here's the first one.
Well, let's see. I've got a 10 kroner, a 5 kroner. Seinfeld.
All right.
There we go.
That's number 1. Correct. All right. What do we got number 2?
Oh, she is just so smoking hot. God, I would do things to her that she would probably laugh at.
Joe.
You bitch!
Joe.
That is correct. All right. If you get this one right, Colin will win the pair of Sixers tickets for Sunday the 30th game against the Hawks. What do we got?
I gotta tell you, I predicted global warming. I could feel it getting hotter. First, I thought it was just me.
I knew I'd make the last one. Time.
Wow.
Brock Sampson? Venture Brothers?
No. B-movie.
Oh, B-movie.
B-movie.
Okay.
So Joe from Doylestown will win the pair of Sixers tickets for
I thought there was no
next
chance you would
Sunday's
get one
game.
wrong.
Colin, I'm sorry.
It's fitting that a Joe won, though.
That's a good point.
Joe.
Listen, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it. We're excited to watch the movie. I'm telling you, my son loves Zootopia 1, so I only know that Zootopia 2 will only get better.
Yeah.
I hope you haven't ruined the chemistry of all those characters.
I tried. I really did. Yeah, to muck things up. Thanks for having me.
Patrick
here, guys.
Warburton, thank you so much for coming
Cheers.
in. All right, we got Middays with Marks. Johnny Marks out today. Ray Dunn will be filling in for Johnny. Amy Fadul as well. Everybody have a great rest of the day. Andrew Tacheko, thank you as always. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning on a Football Friday here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
It bagged up.